Mm. Oh, hello everyone. This is the season 13 CTL prediction cast. Sorry for the bit of a delay there. We had some technical difficulties as is usual, but at least we actually have one of these streams. I don't think our GSC counterparts have really managed to put something together like this, so there is that. Anyways, for our sixth division season 13, we're going to be having two casters and an OJ handle the Division 6 through Division 4. And then later on for the last half of it, Lucas and I are going to be running through D3 through D1. So I guess without further introduction, here is OJ and Ant, and they're going to take it away.
Right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Right, so obviously, we haven't done a write up this season, as people are probably aware, and this is just our way of kind of it's like an easy way, and also it's like an easy way of just letting everyone know what the predictions are, what people are kind of predicting on their lineups, and it just gives people it's just an easier way of just portraying it to everyone rather than just one massive article. So that's kind of what we've gone for here, and I haven't done one of these in years, to be honest. So doing it with Ben,
Hello,
but
everyone.
the latter half.
This is the season 13 CTO prediction cast.
For sure. So, should we get started here? Right, yeah, so starting off with the EI, I mean, I feel like a bit of a staple to CTL at this point. They've been around for a few seasons, definitely garnered a bit of a reputation, you could say. But yeah, so on their roster they have Kalinsko, Dots, Bagging, Eddie, Embrez, E-Middle, Funky MK, Lunarix, Madison, Mage, Nate, Noah Cove, Noam, Rowlet Forever, Striker, Swim, and Yoshi Likes. Definitely a lot of people there, more than I realized, honestly. So do you have any comments about the roster, or?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, really surprised to see them did this last. There's but Division 6, there's actually some half decent players here. I mean, I think based on kind of what I'm aware of, who they're gonna be playing more often than not, it's gonna be I feel E-Middle, Striker, Noah Cove, and then if Embrez actually decides to play CTs, then maybe him as well. And it's
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that baggers they have bagging are too up to date with CT bagging, but I think for based on an actual bottom div roster, it doesn't actually look too bad on the face of things. I mean, I could see them doing half decently. I mean, apparently everyone disagrees with me for that record according to this, but I mean, yeah, I mean I think I think EI is a bit of a meme, to be honest. I mean, for the record, I mean, it's just they both their teams dropped last season. I mean, hi Striker, I know you're watching this, but Striker doesn't exactly have what I call the best reputation in the world himself. But I think despite that, it's this team in the past, in the lower divs has done quite well. I mean, I think they have won. I want to say D5 before, when it was D5 was bottom div. So I think there's hope for these guys for sure. I mean, I don't think it's completely out of it for them. You got any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I agree with what you said about Embrez. If he plays, he's gonna be one of the better players in the div. I would say he's definitely has a lot of game knowledge, and I mean he's been around for years, right? So yeah, he has a lot of the game sense, and definitely would be interesting to see how they do. I mean, yeah, they have one of the worst reputations, I would say. So I mean that's probably part of the reason why they're predicted so low, if I'm being honest. But you know, they I definitely think they can compete with some of the other teams, for sure. So what's the next one? Let's see. Oh, sorry, we're not done. You go.
No, that's fine. Dio and Z, which is Act, Bright, Krusty and Frozen Bagging, Ice G, Jed, Jerk, Joel, Marimba and Tyler. And when you with this team, I mean, I'll be completely real with you. I don't actually know half these people are. I mean, obviously we know about I mean, we've got Act and Jed running, who I think Act. I mean, I think this is like from what I understand of this team, it's like it's IRLs who basically used to play years ago when like half its community was like 5 years old. But
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, I'm not really sure. Like besides like Act and like Jed running like most if every week, like who else there is really going to kind of be running for this team? I think Act when I briefly spoke to him mentioned like Tyler played like CT3 like briefly in like COVID, so like maybe him, but like besides that, I'm not honestly too sure. And then
Yeah.
Krusty with their main bagger. I mean, as people are probably aware, Krusty has 2 teams bagging this season because of some special exemption we had to make. But Krusty for like the bottom div bagging, he's pretty decent to be fair. He's like definitely what I would say is one of the fastest improved like CT baggers because like he plays quite actively and like he seems pretty willing to like pick up and learn stuff. I mean, I think he only started like 2 or 3 seasons ago when like DS is still a thing. So like props to him to be honest. I mean, I don't know what else you want to say and such.
Yeah, I definitely say Krusty is, I mean, one of the strongest like baggers in the div. I mean, obviously Zilla is there as well, but it's like if he is the main bagger, then I mean, definitely they won't have a problem with shocks. I did actually do a little bit of research on this team. I asked like Echo about this, and yeah, it seems like you're right. Like from what he said, let's say they play Marvel Rivals, Balatro, and Black Ops 6. So definitely ready for CTL. That's you know, good to hear. It's also, I will say, really cool to hear that like, you know, these like old players coming back and you know picking up CTs.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's gonna be really interesting to see how they do. Obviously, Act is just like, I mean, MVP contender, right? So yeah, he's gonna be a big part of this team's success.
Oh,
So,
for sure, yeah. And I think
well,
Act alongside Jed should be enough to like compete decently in like this division. I think because I think Jed isn't like the most experienced with like running CTs forwards. I mean, he's pretty decent at RTs to my knowledge, like high, like looking at D2, D3 levels. So like, I think for sure like there's potential here if they just sit down and like learn the tracks.
yeah, definitely.
Moving on, we've got SN. I'll leave this one to you, End.
Yeah, so on SN they have Big Book, Bowser 498, Carson, Clover Can, Fulf, Jake, Reed, Schultz, Zale, and then their 2 bag closers are Silver and Zilla. I'd say this is like, I don't know. I don't know if this team is like, I don't know if you, maybe you know, like is this like a new team? Is this like just popped up this season, or was this around last season too? I don't remember.
This was around last season, and the roster's changed a little bit to my knowledge. It used to be, it was Bowser and Jake running, and then they had.
Oh
like,
right, yeah.
I think Reed and Schultz were like their other 2 main runners, but then they also had like Grantworth, I want to say.
That
And then
sounds familiar, yeah.
And then they had Silver bagging still, but they had Kit and Zilla, I think, is the case.
Okay, possibly. In any case, like, I mean, this, like, on paper, I feel like this team, like, especially for, like, bottom div, like, has some really solid players. Definitely some very fast players. I mean, Jake and Big Book are both, like, RT, like, tops level contenders in terms of speed. Like, some of the fastest players around. Definitely less, like, involved in the RT side, sorry, not RT, online side of things. Baz 498 definitely fast as well. And then, I mean, looking at this roster, I mean, Zale, very solid, like CT runner, and RT runner, I think, but he will for sure be like one of the main presences in the matches. Any other comments?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think with this team, I mean, I think you're right with, like, the speed for sure. I mean, probably the fastest team in the div, I had to guess, because think Jake has what I want to say is the most CT BKTs and like out of everyone, like these days. I could be wrong in that, so
Also, other than like maybe Luke, I don't remember if he like has a lot still.
Oh
Okay.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And I think.
Okay. Yeah. Echo was just saying that like Jake has like GB2 tops and definitely has a lot of BKTs right now. But sorry, continue, AJ.
That's all right. So yeah, I think like especially with Jake, he's like very very fast. And it's like he's one of those players where like I feel like mid pack he probably isn't going to do too much, but you get him in first, and you're gonna, especially in this div, struggle to get him out. And I think even like Bowser, I mean, I think Bowser, I want to say was like top 3 in divs last season. He like Bowser for as much he is memed by the CT community quite a lot. He actually has improved a decent amount, and for this div, I think he will do very very well. This team, funnily enough, was actually my favorites to win because I think like last season, just not having like, I think Grantworth wasn't too around, and like I think like Schultz didn't really like learn CT too much, and like I think Weed has like definitely improved since the last season that they played. It's like now that they have like better like 3rd and 4th runners in like Zale and like Bulk, I think like if like this team like put in like the work, I could see them like definitely going to finals. I really could.
Oh yeah, definitely a contender.
Yeah, for sure. I think moving on, what else we got? We've got AV, which is AZN, Bullen, Dragonfly 99, Joris, Marcus, Nozzles, Olifre, Raz, Thomas Netherlands, and Wyatt. And seeing this team, A, be signed up, and B, in bottom div, something doesn't really seem quite right. I think when I heard that AV was gonna go, I was like, oh yeah, that would be like some D2 or D3 team. But from what it looks like, I mean, this looks like it's like some of their core plus like we've got like Dragonfly, who I think like with like his connections with like AZN and like especially like being like around like because like, I think they're all from that like European like Netherlands and like kind of like Germany kind of like area. It's like he has his connections there, and it's like I think that this just seems like a team that just wants to like just like have fun in the CTs, and it's like they don't want to take it too seriously. And, like I mean, I respect that by any means, and I think obviously they've got some very good like arty players in their team. They've got like AZN. I believe Bullen is bagging, to my knowledge. So like
so, yes.
Put that in there. So I think like their running wise is like AZN, like Joris, and I guess like probably like Dragonfly and like
I probably have D-Fly running, yeah.
Or D-Fly and like Olifre or Thomas, I would have to guess. And
probably?
I mean like
I don't really know who that 4th is actually.
Yeah,
but...
Olifre when he did play, because AV did sign up like I want to say season 6, like he did like decently well. I think in like D2. I mean like I think when I say decently well, I mean like 30-ish average. I mean like so like pretty good by like that standard. So it's like I think this team definitely has like a core of players who like could definitely like score pretty well, and I think like once again like I think we're just like learning the tracks and like picking it up. I think draft helps that as well. It's like this team could definitely like go all the way once again. Don't know what else you have to say on that.
Yeah, I would definitely say they have some of the most chemistry out of any team in the league. Like they've been, I mean, AV obviously like the modern AV is different to like the kind of old AV, and also they don't have like Kevin and people like that, but they have been playing together. This team has been playing Mario Kart for what, like well over a decade at this point. They know what they're doing in wars. There's no doubt about that. I think, AZN probably their strongest player, and I mean, it'll be like this also gives Joris and Dragonfly, who have historically been more like baggers, it gives them a chance to run on CTs, which I think is going to be really interesting to see. I don't know, they've been kind of just gone under the radar, I think. I think they'll also both do pretty well in like bottom div this season, because Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the
Yeah.
spotlight hasn't really been on them until this point, like running wise. So
Yeah, I think D-Fly
yeah.
ran like I want to say like season 11. I think he like ran for like my 13, but like I mean he did
Yeah.
like okay until the crash out in finals, but like
Well, we don't talk about that.
we don't talk about.
Um,
Let's just gracefully move on with that one.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
who we got next? Oh,
Oh, that's a lot of people. Wait, whose turn is it to read out the roster?
it's your turn.
Okay. Well, well, shit. Okay, so we have Feztech, Frank Despeed, Jacob, Jason Y, Key, Matthew, Miwi, Pat One. Is that Sladair? Is that how you pronounce that? Sushi Rap, Tactrox, Tiger Clamori, Tony, and Vinny. Man, there's definitely some people here that are of note. So, what do you have anything to say about anyone in particular?
I mean, seeing Pat One run a team on CTs is unique. I think it's probably the
I think that's a good word for it.
yeah. I mean, this is quite the collection of players, but definitely not a collection of players to be underestimated by any means because
Oh yeah.
they have, besides like Act, they have like two of the best players in the div, being like Vestek and like Matt Oz. And Matthew,
Oh, that
I
is
mean,
Matt Oz.
that is Matt Oz, yeah.
I see.
I mean,
Okay, yeah, no, he's insane.
yeah, I mean, like, I think like those who have been like around with like us in CTL for like most of the way will remember the KFC Matt Australia like 180 back in like season 4 or 5. I can't remember which one it was. And it's like, I mean, I think that kind of speaks for itself in that element. It's like he's very quick. I mean, I think his most notable thing is Windy Well. He's like very fast there. He even made Windy Well Lounge for anyone who was around for that. Personally, was not my cup of tea,
Oh,
but yeah. So like he is definitely very solid, and then you've got Festek who doesn't play a whole lot of act. He doesn't like play too actively, but he's like pretty decent. I mean, like he plays like CT mid tier to my knowledge, so it's like he's like got like the experience in CT's like playing with like decent people, and I think like in like a bottom div like this, he could definitely do really well. And then you've got Miwi, who I'd say he's probably the third best runner. I mean, Miwi hasn't really ran CTs a whole lot. He's kind of known for bagging for MI mainly on CTs, but I think on RTs, to my knowledge, he like runs like mid div, like the D5 kind of like area. So like I think like in the bottom div way, like he like it kind of plays like the RTs before, where like if you just learn the tracks and like know how to play well around people, you'll just do really well. So I think it applies to Miwi. And then as for their fourth, honestly not too sure. I mean,
I would say Jason Y. That guy's a legend, but like, I don't. Will he play? I have no idea.
has that guy ever touched CTs? Is what my question.
Oh, dude, he touched CTs in like season 4 with RA.
Okay,
but since then, I don't think so.
We are moving on from that conversation. Right, and then we've got Prime X, and this is Bort, Gabe, Guardi Lamwaka, Draggy, Jack Oz, Lockie, Rogue Australia, Saki, Samji, Song, Scar, Trent, and Zev. And this team is quite like an old team. I mean, they haven't played for, I want to say, like 5 or 6 seasons. They kind of started out as KFC, then they kind of evolved into Prime X. And it's kind of like a weird group of like the Australians and like Draggy, and then there's also like some elements of like Pancake with like Gade and like Sam G. So it's like, I think it's quite like a close knit like friend group. I think like, and I spoke to Sam prior to the season like registrations opening. He like basically talked to me about these guys going, and I mean they're very solid by any means. I mean, notably for like main lineup, I believe it's Sam, Star, and I think what Sam told me is that it would be Draggy, and probably Gade, because
Really?
yeah, because they've got Jack and Trent on there, and for those who were
Yeah.
around, I would say like 2 years ago, those two were pretty damn good. I mean, like they played bottom div, scored well every time. Like they were like
Yeah.
like your like top MVP candidates. Like they were solid, but they haven't played really since then. And I did actually see a scrim the other day where Trent did play, and he didn't like do particularly well. And I think it is just because he's very very rusty. So it's like if those two did be rust,
That's fair.
they would be very very good for this div. Because like if you go back based on past records, they were very solid in this div.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and their like backups are actually pretty good as well. I mean, you got Gabe who like his played CDs a little bit, and I mean Gabe is like that guy like just like impresses me. Like I've seen like some of the stuff he does, and same with Bork. You know, it's like the stuff I see them do for Baggy and Arcade, and I'm just like what on earth is going on? Like those two are like insane. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
and I think even as runners, they're actually like pretty good as well. And it's like, yeah, I mean they've got like a couple other like runners around as well. And with I think Lockie is their main bagger. I mean, I don't think he has too experienced with CP bagging by any means. I know he does bag arcades for, I think it's Fib. I believe he bags for Fib. So I think he has like some bagging experience. And I think like from what I can tell, he's been trying to learn CTs like, as bagging. So like that's like pretty solid as well. So I think this team is pretty well rounded to be honest, and could, I mean, as like predicted, like will do very very well. I don't know if you have
For
any
sure.
other comments you want to make. On them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Australia, the team. Like, how many Australian players is that? Like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I think there's like at least 7 Australian players here. So I can only imagine what like scheduling with them is going to be like. But you know, definitely. I mean, like, I definitely understand why this team was predicted first. Like, they have so many like consistently strong runners, and also, yeah, Jack AUS, if he plays, like picks up CTs again, another MVP contender. He is like incredibly good for bottom div. There's no question in my mind that he will be one of the best if he picks up CTs again. Also, someone else that I feel like goes under the radar, even though I doubt he plays. Rogue AUS, like he is very very fast. He's one of the fastest players in the div. He also has like worldwide tops on on RTs, and I think he's had a couple CTBKTs before. So I mean, if he chooses to go online, I mean, it's over. Like this team is like very strong for bottom div, and I think this team will win the div as well. Honestly.
I mean,
So-
yeah, I think that's fair enough. I mean, like, it's like very well balanced and like,
Yeah.
I mean, the only balance they don't have is like actual like scheduling. Like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
I just would
If they
not
play
want-
matches, then I think they will win.
I would not want to schedule this team. I can tell you that right
Yeah.
now. But yeah,
All right.
I think that's our roundup of the rosters, and now moving on to D5. I'll let you go first in this one, end.
All right. So they have Helia, Crime, Freighters, Hedwig, OSF, Sasuke, Shura, and then Aga and Murray are their 2 bag clauses. Helia, I mean, starting things off with one of the best like players in the div again. Like this guy has got a lot of like mid div experience. I forget if he's played above like D3, but he did well when he did play D3. And so he's going to be one of their main like presences on this team. I would expect him to go 10 for 10. Could be wrong, but that's what I expect. Freighters, another very good player. He didn't play CTs for a long time, to my knowledge, but very fast player. Very good at CTs, honestly, as of recent. I played some like lounge event with him on CTs, and I didn't have like super high expectations, but then like he did really well, and it was in like a solid room as well. So I'd expect him to do well in D5. This is D5, right? Yeah, this is
Yeah.
D5. Hedwig and Sasuke both also very good players. I think those are probably their third and fourth. Yeah, unless am I right?
Um, I reckon it could be Crime over
Oh,
Traces.
possibly?
I would imagine because I think it's Sasuke or Sasuke's in Crime's team.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like even then, like Traces is like a first sub, or like if he does play, like very solid. Um, Crime and Sasuke, they've been playing since the dawn of time, and like they're both somewhat active. I mean, they're actually more kind of like well known or like more like present on like the luminous side of things with like the group of like Jax and like Magic and all that sort of stuff. So like some people aren't too aware of who they are, but like they are both pretty solid players for this div. And then you mentioned Helia already. I mean, Helia for this div, I mean like Helia did really well in D3 and D4, and like this is D5. I mean, I could see him definitely being like one of the MVP candidates for sure. And then you've got Hedwig, who kind of went like missing for like a year. I don't know what happened to that guy, but when he was around like beforehand, like he's like mainly a Daisy player to my knowledge, but he's once again somewhat similar to Big Ball. Like he's in that group of like players, and he's pretty damn quick to my knowledge as well.
Yeah.
The head was really solid, and then you didn't mention OSF, but OSF like although not what I would describe as the fastest player, this is insane coming from me, I know, right? But he actually like is like decently like balanced, and then like I think like I've like seen him like play like in this kind of like D4 D5 area before, and like he does like alright, to be fair. Like he's the sort of guy who averages like around like 28, 29. Like he's like pretty good for what it's worth. So I think he's definitely one still mentioned for sure.
He'll have no problems here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the baggers. I mean, Murray has been bagging for years at this point. I mean, like although not really too actively, he has like the bagging experience for sure. And like I mean, Agar I have my experiences with, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, honestly surprised to see this team predicted last. I mean, the only kind of thing I can maybe see as the why is because it's like a new team, and like the chemistry might not really be there as such, but like I think like definitely like they're not a team to rule out, like no way. And I think speaking like before we go on to the other D5 teams, I think looking at like the divs, this is definitely like the closest or second closest div in like skill, I think, in the entire league. So like this div should be one to definitely look out for.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if we move on to the next team, we have Zogzit, and this is Bubble, Day8, Kevjin, Misako Bagan, Mill, Mr. Cactus, Pensive Mike, Rich Billion II, Rick, Chum, Yusk, Waffle House, Walugi, and Zed Joe. And this team, like, they won bottom div last season, and I think this team is one that gets underrated by like the general public, and I think they get underrated by themselves really. I know they weren't too happy with being put in this D5 to begin with, but I think this team like is like they kind of stem from like RTs. I mean, like they start playing like RT, like kind of like the lowish like end of that, but they have like some stand-up players for sure. I mean, like Waluigi, I think he's definitely like the strongest player on that team. I mean, he MVP'd D5 last season, and he's played, I think, like D3 or D4 with like HK stuff. Like, I think, was it UX that team? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think so.
It was a team that like Zesty and like that. So he's like played with them before, and like I believe he did very well then. And then I think like they kind of seem to run like their kind of main core. When I was, I think it's like you got like Rich Billion the second, Rick, and like Kebjin, and these guys are like they play a lot for CT Lounge, and I think like their kind of like improvement has kind of stemmed a lot from that as such. I mean, like whether like people want to admit like Lounge is good or bad, like these players have definitely like seen improvement. I think especially like when I wanted to mention for sure is Kebjin. I mean, like that guy I remember when he was like minus like MMR or like down there somewhere, and then like one day I looked and he's like in mid tier, and I'm like whoa, like what happened here? And I think it just show like this team is improving like really quickly, and their main bagger, to my knowledge, is Bubble, who someone that people don't really know about too much, but he actually is a half decent bagger for this level, to be honest. He seems to like pick up on the strats pretty quickly, and like yeah, I think like this team are definitely like the biggest underdogs in the div, I believe. I think they could definitely like go to like I'm not sure if they can go to finals. They could do. I could see this team getting like around
they
like
could.
they could. I could see them getting like around third. I mean, I think like they're like it's like a challenge for them. Like, they've always played bottom div, and like obviously your first season like up from like where you've always played, it's a challenge. But if they adapt well, I think they could do pretty well. I don't know if you've got any other kind of thoughts on them as such.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the fastest improving teams, I would say, on CTs. All of these, like their main runners have seen a lot of improvement recently. Starting off in low div, even just like I forget when, but like probably like it's got to be like just over like a year ago, like under 2 years, right? Like
Yeah, I
they
wouldn't
haven't
say it was like maybe like 18 months ago, maybe like a bit less than that.
something like that. They have not been playing CTs for long, and they're already at a bottom div. So I have full confidence in this team to do well in this div. Waluigi, one of like probably an MVP contender again. Like he is very good. Like he could do fine in mid div. And yeah, Rick, Billiam, Kebjin all play together a lot. I would say this is this team has some of the most chemistry in this division. They have a lot of experience playing with each other, and I think that will help them. I think they can go far, honestly.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I mean, like, so like playing with each other, both in RTs and CTs. I mean, quite actively, it's like you do pick like on the chemistry quite quickly. So like, for sure, I could see them being like really well rounded, like isn't like in that like department.
Yeah.
So I think moving on, what Dag, and I'll let you read this one out.
Alright, so the DAG, they have Zari, Dots, Grantworth, JT bagging, Calc, Keegan, Kit bagging, Elsith, Luna Polar, Mystique, Rory, and Sin. Pretty like interesting team. I think this team has been playing for like a couple seasons now, right? What was their first season? Would it have been season 10? I don't remember.
Yeah, well, that sounds about right. They're like the same like kind of time period, maybe a bit before like Zog, I would say.
Yeah. One player I definitely want to draw you guys' attention to is Azari. I mean, this guy is an old player. He's been playing for a long time, but then he took a few years break and then just recently came back, and he's picked up CTs pretty well. I think he's gonna do well in this div. He's probably one of the stronger players on the team. Definitely up there. I think that main is something like, if I had to guess, I'd say something like Dots, Keegan, Luna Polar, if he plays, and then like Azari or like Rory if he plays. Honestly, there's a couple players on this team who it kind of just depends how much they want to play. But I think that if they want to, then they would be some of the best, such as Lunapola and Rory or Big Raz. So,
Mhm. I mean,
do you got any?
yeah, I've got a couple things to say. I mean, go back to Azari. I mean, this guy is like, he's like one of the younger CT players as well. Like, and the fact that he's like at the level he's at already is like, I mean, I remember end of last season, it was when Cubot was still a thing. He came in and he was like 2K, 3K MMR. I think I remember saying to Kit, and it was like, I remember playing against this guy, and I was like, he's not bad. Like, Cubot is like so like much deflating him, and then like come this season, get rid of Cubot, and this guy like is now at like mid 7Ks in like CTs, like MMR, and it's like, I mean, like that's impressive in itself, going from like 3K to like 7.5, and it's like, it just shows how quickly like this guy has improved. And I think I could definitely see this guy like being one of the best like in this div, and I could see Azari like as a player himself, like in like future seasons going like above this div as well. I mean, like if you've gone like if he's improved like in such a short time already, like that's all it says for like what the future holds, I guess, as such. And I think like with like other members of the team, I mean, like, I'd say like I somewhat agree. I'd say like Dots, like they're probably their second most like active, and like I mean that guy is like pretty good as well. I mean he's like pretty active in lounge, like in the mid div, like sometimes like low div, like lounge area. So like, and I think he did like pretty well when they played like league before. So like I think he's one to watch out for as well. And then their other players, it's kind of like a toss up. Like they're quite balanced elsewhere because they've got like Grantworth, like Raz, as you said. Like, I think Mystique like wants to play a lot from what I've heard. I think it's like Mystique's like team.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't know about Lunapola. I think they might be a bit inactive these days.
I think
And
so.
then I think like Elsif like probably wants to play a lot as well. So I think like they've got a lot of players who want to play, and I think you could see like a lot of like rough like LU changes like every week with this team. So like I think like they're not like kind of like a set 4 or 5 like
Oh yeah,
team. I think they could like rotate a lot here. But yeah,
it's a very balanced team. Yeah, Mystique, Grantworth, and Elseth all could like reasonably play. Oh, and Calc as well. Like they could all play and like and win with them. Like they're all like completely like fine, and I definitely have one of the more balanced teams in the div, I would say.
Oh, for sure. I honestly forgot when I did my like standing predictions that like I forgot Azari was on this team, because like I think that alone, like I think that like that will like make them do like well enough in this div. And I think with this div being so close, like having a player of that value is like so key to have. So yeah, I think moving on to the next team, who we got next? We've got Flag 2, and this is Bowser Bagging, Caesar, Deli, Entropy, Malware, Marvin, Masako, Police, V-Rock, and Wolfpack. And it's interesting seeing Flag do 2 teams, but like this team is it's definitely like has a lot of potential. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
Kind of the 2 like most active players I kind of draw like my attention to initially is Caesar and Malware. And Caesar is someone that people might not be too aware of. He's like a Daisy man. He plays a lot with them, like JP on RTs. And that guy, like, he's been improving a lot. And I've seen some scrim tables with them, and he's always like at the top. Like he's in like that first, like second, like it's like indivs like on every single table I've seen of him. So I think that guy, it's a real standout for this team. And I think Malware as well, like kind of a similar thing. I think Malware, he kind of came from like the Troy background. I think
he did, right? Yeah.
Like him, like was it him and was it Cacti? Like him and like that kind of group. Like they kind of came from like that background, and he kind of like picked up on things quite quickly. And I think like back when Flag like the main team like was kind of like in lower div, he was playing with like Lawrence and that like every week. So like he's definitely like aware of like he's definitely played league before, and like he's got the experience like there like lined up behind him. And I think with like other members of the team. They've got like Delhi, who Delhi's been around for like quite some time. Done quite well, to be fair. Like whenever he's played like mid to like low div, so like I think Delhi is quite like a balanced player, and I think where a lot of this team is quite fast. Like you got like Marvin and like Police for sure, and it's like I think Delhi offers like some balance to that. Where Delhi he's played like Wars and RTs, and like he's quite experienced in that regard. So I think he offers like that side of things to this team.
Yeah.
And I think once again this team like they're like kind of like runners might rotate a lot. I know like V-Rock and like I've seen tables with like V-Rock, Police. I've seen Masaka wants to play. I know Masaka did well bottom of last season. Like I've even seen Entropy appear on a couple tables. I think he played against us in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like they've got players here who definitely want to play still, and I think then you got Bowser bagging, and like Bowser like picked up bagging not too long ago, but pretty decent to be fair. I mean like he knows the strats, like, and I think like when like you're in like this like lower div, I think just knowing the strats kind of is like enough as such that you don't really. I mean like obviously like having that like bagging like brain is like easy to have, and it's like if you aren't quite developed with that as of yet, it's not too big of a deal because it's like in this div like you're more focused on just getting in 10, like making sure you get like the strats down and that. And I think he can do that really well.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, I don't have a lot to add. Definitely think Delhi is like one of the best players in the div. He's going to be another contender with like Waluigi and Helia, and so it'd be interesting to see how that goes down. That kind of dynamic. But yeah, I mean that's all I think. Let's. All right, so. Sorry, I forgot. Did you read the last one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, predicted first for D5. We got GDG, and on their roster they have Abby, Coop, Cynical, Mpex, Izumi, Johnny, Meatball, Me My Wee, Katar, Q-Sahab, Roshi, Sparkster Bagging, and Z Yoshi. This is a very interesting team. This group, as far as I'm aware, at least Roshi and Mpex and Johnny, they've been, and Abby as well, they've been friends for so long. I mean, we're talking years. They haven't really played CTs that much as of recent, but if they really like put the time into CTs, I mean, this honestly wouldn't surprise me if this team kind of just runs away with it. They are like Roshi is very, very good at RTs, and if you can translate that to CTs, I think like it's just GG's. I expect him to MVP the div. They also have Johnny running, who, I mean, 6C bagger, you know, so he it'll be interesting to see if he plays at all, like running, because I mean that's not something he's really done, with the exception of season. What was the season that SOS played last?
11, isn't it?
11, season 11. So yeah. Anything else to say?
Yeah, I mean like I think like especially like focusing on like Roshi and Mpex, I mean they've both played CTs for quite some time now, and like I think like with the is it like Butterfly that two RTs like they kind of picked up on, like Roshi, as you said, like very good there, like, and Roshi has like improved so much from like the guy I once knew like 4 years ago, and like I think he's personally my MVP candidate for this div. I think he's just like so like he's just picked up so much of this game that I think he can really run away with it, and I think if there was a team that does run away with it this div, I do think it's this team. And like Mpex, once again, like I played with both Roshi and Mpex in DS before. They're both pretty good. Like they were pretty good back then, and it's like we're talking like what, a year and a half ago. And then you've got like other players of whom you've got like Cynical, like Qatar, who both like haven't played CTs a whole lot as of lately, but they're both like they were both pretty solid when they did play like this big kind of like mid-low kind of like area. Evan, even their backups are pretty good. Like I think like Johnny. Johnny has like the fundamentals on RTs. Like he does like pretty well there. And I think if he could just translate it to CTs, I do know Johnny loves Northern Heights and hates every other track in the pack.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not ideal when you're trying to play like SDC League. But I think yeah, I mean, maybe like Abby or like Coop might play as well. I know both of them have been playing CTs a little bit. Not, I think it might be more so like the main like five that we already mentioned. But yeah. And then Sparks the bagging. I mean, Sparks been bagging like 5 seasons now at this point. It's pretty solid. Like, not really much to say there really. So yeah, that is GDG. Now what? D4, our last div before we change over to Lucas and Echo for the last half of this. So yeah, let's get into it. So we've got. Oh, that is the wrong tag. Echo, but it's fine.
Well, it's fine. It's DNCE, but it doesn't matter.
DNCE. So yeah, for Dance Dance Revolution, we've got Alpha bagging, Astro, Fudge, Deli bagging, Evasive, JKL, Joey, J-Ray, Rompe, Theodore, Wexus, and Wills. And DNCE was bottom div last season, and seeing them jump up this high without them actually winning, a bit odd really. We don't often see it too often, but I think with like the addition of especially Theodore and Wexus to their lineup who played well last season and almost like went undefeated in D3 until they lost the flag in finals. I think like those two players are like really key additions to the scene. I think accompanying like J-Ray and what I would guess would be probably Rompe if I had to guess. Not really too sure. I'd probably say Rompe. I think this
possible.
Yeah, I think this team could do something this year for sure. I mean, like I'm saying this as I literally predicted them last, which is a tad awkward.
Maybe it's best I talk about them then, because I did not predict them last. So
I mean, go ahead if you want. I mean, like
no, you're fine. I mean, unless you have anything else you wanted to say.
I mean, I guess like I'll quick comment. I mean, like I said, like we talk about Theodore and Waxos. J-Ray is really good. I mean, like I personally don't think he should have been bottom to begin with. Is my opinion, but yeah, he's very solid. I mean, like he kind of has his like stages where he plays CTs a lot, but doesn't play for like months and comes back again. And it just seems that we're in a phase where he's like enjoying them. Well, at least I would like to think so. He's continuing to play them. And then Rompe, who he's kind of like on and off the CTs, like pretty solid though. He played like with this group, and he played with it was kind of like I can't remember what they did. It was like -4, like it was like I guess like the Spanish team. Like he played there and like did pretty well as well. So there's definitely potential here, I think, with this team. But I'll let you kind of take over for this one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this team has actually like more depth than people realize. I mean, Theodore, Rompe, Waxos, Evasive, Astro, J-Ray, and Fudge. All is that Fudge? Ian?
Yes.
Does he? Okay, yeah. And also even like Joey, like all of them, I think can do fine in this div. I definitely think like Theodore and Waxos. I would expect them to play like most weeks, and probably J-Ray as well. After that, it becomes kind of a trade-off. But yeah, they have a lot of depth. I think it matters. Like it doesn't matter too much who they end up running, I would say, as long as they get a roster or a lineup. I don't know. I don't remember who is that. Which Will is that? Is that? Did you go by something else, or is that just like?
I think that's the Norwegian one. I want to say.
Okay. Okay, never mind. I'm not familiar with that guy. I'm sure he's good. I makes me think he probably won't play since I haven't I'm not familiar, but Alpha and Deli bagging, I think, is interesting. I mean, both typically runners. I know Deli bagged RTs a bit, like a while ago. I don't know how much experience Alpha has. Maybe you know.
I think Alpha kind of just like falls around with bagging. I mean, he's not too bad. Like he's like, serviceable by like any means.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't like your Alpha, if you can tell. But yeah, I mean, like, I think this team is like it has potential. I mean, I'm glad I saw this team sign up as well. J-Ray got his Wordle chat in return for me getting him baggers to sign up his team. So he got his trade off. So hopefully he's happy with it.
Yep.
And yeah, I think moving on, we've got Flow 2, and I'll let you do this one.
Okay. So they have Broly, Chloe, Dylan bagging, Insane, Jam, Ni, Nash, Riku, Spat, TK, Vestoga, Wally, and Yoshita. First of all, I want to say I love that name, Yoshita. Like, dude, I'm jealous. But anyway, that aside, I mean, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think main here. I mean, it's definitely TK, right? He's probably their best player.
I'd like, but yeah.
After that, I think it's like, is it? You think like Broly, Spat? I don't know. What would you say? I don't know a lot of these players, honestly.
Definitely Riku, definitely Jam, and then I'd say probably either Broly or Spark, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I mean, this team, another team that's been playing together for a long time. Like, not as long as, like, AV, I don't think, but, like, this, like, they have a lot of chemistry. I don't expect that to be an issue. I think, I mean, the season, well, it was season 11. This team, I mean, it definitely came across as a very, like, functional team. You didn't see them making a lot of, like, miscoms or anything. So I think this team can do pretty well. Definitely if they kind of keep up practice. I mean TK is more, at least was more of an RT main. I don't know how he feels about CTs now, but he was an RT main, and he, I don't know. I think, I mean, he is just the best player in the dev, probably.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who could contest. I guess like Luna is like is that Gamped? He could contest, but I mean, other than that, like TK, one of the best. So
for sure.
Yeah. Got any comments?
I guess, yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, I actually like this team actually got moved up from D5 to D4 like last second when we did like a couple changes around, and I think it was Val who pushed this argument, and like looking more at their roster, like I agree as to why we did it at the end. I mean, like TK for sure, standout player. He MVP'd when they played, I think their first season back as Flow when they were like in the lower div. So like he's definitely a standout for sure. And like Riku and Jam, they played most weeks on Flow 2 last season as well. The team looked a bit different because Dylan, they kind of like leader, like did some spots around, but like Riku and Jam played like a lot last season. Both did really well, I think, like averaging like late 20s, early 30s, like that kind of ordeal. And I think I can see their fourth being like Spark or Broly, like kind of interchangeable. Depends like how much each of them really want to play. I mean, both of them don't really play CTs that much these days. I think I've seen Broly a bit more. I mean, even it could even Wally, to be fair. I think Wally did play some matches last season as well. And then they've got the Dylan bagging, and Dylan is actually like I watched like pretty much all their matches last season because I was a Murray fan. I'm gonna say it out here right now. Was a Murray fan. Watched all their matches last season, and Dylan, he whether he's not really known for CT bagging, he definitely seems to win shot counts basically every single match, or like 90% of the matches. Like, so I think like he's definitely like a solid bagger for this div, and like just like with that winning shot count and with like the chemistry and TK being there, I think this team could do very, very well. So yeah,
For sure. Moving
on, we have Gant, which is Aura, Ballybagging, Beckett. Is it Dara? I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's Dara.
Darag, I think. I don't know.
DMD, Eric, Arvo, George, Marky, Toad. Is it
Good
George?
luck.
Is it
Gerogio is my guess.
I don't even know. I know who he is. That guy's hilarious, by the way. Lion, Log, Logan, Luna, and Victor. And I had no clue this team was going, I can't lie. I saw them sign up and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it was like day one of like CT registrations and I was just like, where did this team come from? But this isn't their first like season on like in CTO anyway. They played like season 9, I want to say, in D3 with a somewhat similar roster to my knowledge. I mean, I think like it was like Luna, Beckett, and I can't remember who else played, but I think it would have been like this kind of like group of players here. And I think in this D4, I mean like it's a good diff for them, and they obviously Luna's their stand-up player. Luna's played D1 with like SY, like Daisy, like PRS, like he's played like with all those teams like up there. So like he kind of went inactive for a little while, but he seems to be back. Like seems to be playing pretty actively. Obviously, very good player. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me on that. And if they are, then well, you're wrong.
yeah, I know. Yeah, he's in so good.
Yeah, and then looking at like who they could have like maybe as like their like other players, like I mean Marky for sure. I mean Marky, he played on Bulls like in their like earlier seasons when they were like kind of like in that bottom div, like maybe second from bottom div range. That guy is very, very good. He seems to top score a lot, or like be like, up there as well. So I've got high hopes for that guy. Then you've got Beckett, who I think I mentioned like earlier. He played when they played in season 9. Pretty well-rounded player. Like seems to do pretty well. Seems willing to learn the CTs as well. And yeah, I mean like I think he would do pretty well in this team as well. And then you've got in the other, I'd say 2 players I see realistically playing are Eric and Arbo.
I think so, yeah.
Eric, despite what everyone likes to call him like Unk because he's like 29 years old and he has arthritis in his fingers, he's played a lot. He's got like he's played a lot of CTs recently. He's played with like most seasons of Bulls. Like he's been active, and I think like based on what I can remember of like that finals you guys played in like last season, I think he did pretty well. Like once again, averaging like 29.
Yeah, I think so.
Sort of range. And Arvo hasn't played the last couple of seasons, but I do remember him in some tables from maybe like 8 or 9 months ago, and like he kind of like Marky was like always up there in Indivs and like scored pretty well. I think with like that chemistry this team has, like they've been around for years.
Oh yeah.
Like they've like done
Definitely.
multiple meetups, like they've done like everything. I do love their Parkway Travel Awards and DSC as well. Rate that.
They are pretty enjoyable, I will say.
Yeah, and yeah, I think this is the amount of chemistry they have. They played CPs years ago as well. And I think with that, and then having Bally accompany them as a bagger who he played really actively like a year ago and kind of like went a bit off the radar, like didn't really like, play too much. But I think even regardless, is still a pretty well-rounded bagger. Like has had that D1 experience somewhat recently, at least. Will like allow them to do pretty well, I think, in this div. And yeah, I could see this team definitely going to finals if they want to put the effort in. Just
Oh yeah,
depends.
definitely. It depends if they care, honestly.
Yeah, depends if they care. I have heard. I'm not going to say who it was, but I have heard of a team that wants to do a Mario versus the Ouija war against this team.
Nice leaking. W.
Oof, I mean, what it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else did you want to say about this team that I haven't already covered?
I mean, not a lot, honestly. Other than like, is logged a lemon, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, in that case, get logged a lemon in. But in all seriousness, I think yeah, definitely like obviously Luna is like the in terms of skill, Luna is the face of Gant. I think everyone kind of just expects him to either, if he's not MVPing, then he's probably gonna get second. Like I think those two, Luna and TK, are just kind of like the best two by miles. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion. I think, but I also think that because of that, I think that the others on this team kind of go under the radar. Eric, like Marquis, Beckett, all solid players. I think can compete in D4. So yeah,
I have
that's about it.
I've just seen word from the stream chat from Beckett. Eric is going to MVP unless the tracks have more than 4 ramps and are longer than 1 minute and 30 seconds. That is
Huge.
I mean, I guess we're just picking like Jungle Jamble every single week then. Like,
oh yeah, dude,
how it's
Nobly, you got me. Is it too late to change teams?
Are you trying to ditch me?
Yes. All right.
Okay, I guess Lucky is just in.
Right,
moving on, we have Pancake, and I'll let you read this one out.
Sure. Yeah, so Pancake have Azuki, Clay, Davcap, Evan, Fist, God, Lumwaka, Hazard, well, as a back clause, Hazard also as a back clause, Squirrel, Miles, Noah Dalentoft, Obisant, and Orca. This is a team that went. What season was it? Was it season 8?
Oh god!
It was a while ago, like a couple of years ago, right?
It was. I think it was season 7 because I remember SOS went season 8 and Davs I remember played with Pancake.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. But whatever, it's not hugely important which season it was. It was a while ago. That's all you need to know. And I mean, back then, I think, I mean, their main is like kind of. They have Azuki now, but I mean, they've kept most of the same, right? Because they have Clay, they have like Squirrels playing there, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I mean, Davs was playing there obviously before, but I mean, he's not. I don't think he's on a team now. Yeah, I mean, not like a massive changes, but Azuki is definitely gonna be one of their best. I mean, like he's played like a lot of mid div and done like perfectly fine. I expect him to be one of the best players. I think same with like Clay. Clay probably is their best player, but he and so therefore I assume he will go 10 for 10. Definitely one of the fastest players in the div. Maybe the fastest actually out of the people who will actually play. He's a very fast player, and also like I mean he's developed a lot of like online skill as of recent as well. As of like last like few seasons. He's played D2 before and done fine. Like Clay is gonna do well in this division D4 now. Yeah, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean like I actually know a lot about this team because I happen to be in their CTL chat, so I've kind of seen like the ins and outs of kind of what's been going on. And yeah, I mean like I think with this, it's kind of like it's something Gamp. It's like I think their like success is going to depend on how much they're going to care. Because I think like Clay is quite like relaxed back about like this season. Like kind of wants like to have fun with his friends. I think that I mean fair enough. I mean like the correct way to play this game is to have fun before actually caring, in my opinion. But I mean that's my opinion. But anyways,
Sure.
Yeah. I mean like Azuki. As I say with a new edition, I mean like I mean both of us have played a lot of Azuki, and I mean. He's done like pretty well with us. I mean, like he just hasn't played like a whole lot. But I think like give him the chance to like go down to a lower div and like kind of prove himself would be like really nice. And I think he could do really well for sure. It's like depends on how much he wants to care because if you either care or he can go peach every single match. Which, from what I understand, I think the peach might be the actual reality of what actually might happen this season. But yeah, continuing on, I think like Clay. I mean, I played with Clay like 2 or 3 seasons. I can't remember how many I've played with him at this point. But yeah, he is insanely fast. I can think of one player in the Civ who's faster than him, but like we'll get onto that in a sec. But like even then, like Clay is very much just have him in first, be the guy who drives, and he will just succeed. Like, and I think Clay is one of those players where like you catch him on the right day, and he will just score 140. I mean, like I don't know if you remember that one finals end when he like literally match one, he literally just ran in first for like 7 races and didn't get through.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just like
You can't win. Like
you literally can't win against that sort of thing. He's one of those players. And I think moving on, you've got like Davcap. Haven't seen a whole lot of him. He played with EI before they dropped last season. Haven't really seen him resurface since. But if he does resurface, could definitely see him playing a lot of weeks. Davcap from the past was pretty good. He was kind of like the main core of like FS, along with like Clay back then. So for sure, like a good member of his team. Evan TX. A lot of people like. I've seen him in a lot of people's fantasies. I don't know how much he's going to play. I've not seen that guy around in a hot minute, but it'll be interesting to see. And then you mentioned already like Squirrel will probably be like their 4. And yeah, I mean like Squirrel plays a lot actively. Him and Gade are like best friends. They play with each other all the time, so like there's chemistry there for sure. And I think with Hazard and Gade bagging, I mean like both solid baggers. Hazard definitely the more active one as of late anyway, but Gade could definitely like step up in times where Hazard's not there. So yeah, I think that this team could, say like Gamp, depending on how much they care, could do really well.
I'd agree. I think Miles and Orca definitely also of note. Assuming they play, which it looks like they will do, according to SamG, like that they will do completely fine in the Civ. Very fast players. As long as they, they commit themselves. This team as a whole wants to care, then they'll be fine.
For sure. I didn't even see Miles there. I completely forgot to mention him.
You're fine.
Yeah, once again, like solid player. I mean, like could definitely be a good 3rd or 4th for this team, like easily. So yeah, I think moving on to our last D14 before we switch over to Lucas Neko, we've got. Oh God, how long is this list?
Dude, do you want to split it?
It's fine. I think I've got this.
Okay.
So we've got CGGP, or I think as JC has called them this season, we killed CGP, go Retro Rewind or something like that.
Something like that. I don't even know when I'm on the team.
By the way, do not go to Retro Rewind. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway,
yeah.
Moving on, we've got Akira bagging, Meowser, Bento, Bugsy, Cotney, yours truly bagging End.
Yeah.
Fart Bomb, G-Force, Henry, JC, Epics, Kane the Snowman, Lucio Wins, Metabus, Mossan, Mr. Fluffy, Popstar
Wake me
Amy,
up when you're done.
Raptor, Rex, Slime Server, Strobend, Taco Josh, and Tasa129. Certainly a group of people, to say the very least.
Oh yeah.
And I think like kind of the one person I do want to start with, which is a bit unorthodox, but I want to hone in on Mossan because a couple minutes ago I briefly mentioned there's one player I had in mind who can challenge Clay on the speed category. And I definitely think if it's one person, it's Mossan. That guy is insanely quick. Like, I think I watch his runs when he submits them to like when we do like the CQ like those runs, and like I'm just like I just sit there and I'm like, what on earth? Like this guy is this guy's ridiculous. So yeah, like I think I think he is gonna play as well from what I have heard from JC. As to how much, don't really know. And obviously, there's a bit of like a language barrier because he's like Japanese and like this is like a main like, Euro team, not Euro team, like American team. So but yeah, I think his English, from what I do understand, is good enough to where that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And then I think other players in the team definitely to mention Meowser. I mean, my fellow Wee Willer. I love that guy, but he is very, very good. Old player, played with like YN, like he's even in with I can't forget what the team was now. Yeah, it's gone from my mind. Anyways, but yeah, he's played like years ago. Very old player. Came back a couple of years ago, like, and I think like he's done really well every season CTV has played. So that guy is definitely one to watch out for sure. And I think other notable people is Alex or FB30, the other Alex, should I say? And it's an interesting addition to this team because this guy has not played with these people before in a league. And I think like from what I was speaking to Alex, the way I kind of like saw it was like he just wants like a kind of a chill team just to like kind of like prove himself and like get back like into running CPs as he hasn't done in quite a while, like actively anyway. And this guy, very solid for Div. I've walked with him in like tag end like briefly, and you can tell just like listening to like the calls he makes. Like, he's very intelligent. He knows what he's doing, and I think like for like an IGL for this team, he's perfect for it. He's played with like AC like for years, like high div bagging. Like he knows like the like, core fundamentals of like, how to act the war, and I think he will do very very well. And then I think other players who are likely to play, JC. I mean, our like fellow our council member in CTL and council admin in track testers. JC, he's definitely like he kind of reminds me of Bowser in a way where like both kind of came from like nowhere, but like have now like introduced to the CT community, have like kind of like played a lot more, and he's gotten a lot better. To all credit for him.
Yeah.
And I think like JC just like he just enjoys like running a team, and I think like I mean I feel that like if you enjoy it, and he built like a really good like relationship with like even people like Epic, so you'd never expect like
yeah, you can say that.
like he's like built such a good like relationship with people that like he's like allowed the team to keep on running, and like I mean like it seems like a cool team to play for, and it's just like it was just something that kind of spawned from like track testing council, so it's like it's so cool to see. And then the last person I'll mention, because I don't think Raptor's gonna play too much from what I've heard, is Epix. And Epix is like Alex, like an old like kind of player. He played with SOP mainly. Like he played I think mainly with their second team, I think, when CTL first started. But very very good. Like very known for is it Kanoko Cave that he's like renowned for?
Yes, Kanoko Cave. He is like the best player to touch that track, probably, other than maybe Sawyer. Like he's insane at that track, like every version.
I mean W track, so I'm not gonna complain. Yeah. Very good player. If he stays around and plays, sorry, he will be very very good. I mean, I think like in terms of like fundamentals for this team, I mean like having like Epix who's been like played like Hydra before, and like Alex who's in like platform as well. This team has improved a lot in their roster, and I think like seeing them put it first, no surprise to me. I think they could run away. I could see this team running away with it if they get their act together and really go for it. And I'll let you add to this as well, because it is your bagging team.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I would expect most of the time the lineup to be something along the lines of like Alex UK or FB, Epix, like Alex, and then like JC. Mosan probably plays a few matches as well. And so it'll be some combination of those 5 players, I would assume, most of the time. Running, that is. Bagging, probably, I will probably play most of the matches. Akira is there available if needed. And I mean, I will not comment on the skill of both baggers, because I mean, I'm not, I don't.
I'll comment. I'll comment.
You can do that if you want.
I mean, you're terrible.
Okay. All right. I see how it is.
All jokes aside, like both of you are serviceable for sure. I mean, like obviously my bias is with you because obviously like obviously I play with you a lot, and like from what I have seen you bagging, starting with was SOS your first season of bagging?
Yeah, SOS season 8.
Yeah, I mean like we've seen you improve a lot. I mean, like, and like from what we're seeing in scrims as well, when you have bagged, like you've taken some like shock wins off of like some decent baggers, to be fair. So you definitely have proved yourself. And I think no, I don't really know too much about Akira bagging, to be fair. He's done it for a while, but like I don't think it's something he particularly like cares
He doesn't
about.
spend as much time like doing it, but he is solid. I haven't played against him or anything, but like you know, like when he is like practicing, like he does well. So I would expect. I don't see like any disparity at all really between he and I in terms of skill bagging. So you know, we're probably. I don't think it'll matter who bags. And also, I mean, I think the runners on this team are just good enough to where probably doesn't matter that much, to be honest. But
Not really though.
no
Yeah.
bias, don't worry.
So yeah, that is our part of this wrapped up. I mean, thank you so much to everyone so far who's watched, and it's actually been really nice like doing this for once, and like to like talk with like one of my good friends in the community about like what's kind of going on like with cities this season, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the second half of this with Lucas and Echo, and I think with that I'll let those two take over, and yeah. Thank you very much. I mean, what other words do you want to say, and like before we?
Oh no, I've nothing to add. So yeah,
Yeah.
take it away.
Rock
Yeah,
on.
take it away.
Thank you. Also, Mosan, I did war with him a few times on RTs. His English is not the best, but his enthusiasm is incredible, and he's just like an infectious person to play around. He's incredible.
Oh, that's the spirit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he got hit out of first against Gamped in our troll war, and he said, I am one. I was attacked. They're one. And that's what
Let's go,
that's what he told
dude!
us.
I can't wait.
if he plays, he'll be an incredible player around. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Alright. Cool.
Yeah. Well, have fun.
Thank you as well for doing those divs, getting this ones out of the way. Now we can wrap this
No
up,
problem.
hopefully. And see you as well for our war in, gosh, a bit over an hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, about an hour and
sounds good.
20.
Yep. Well,
Alright.
Lucas, you there?
I am here. Hello, if you can hear me.
Great. Hopefully stream can still hear us right now. Because I'm
I will say, as the first thing, I apologize, or we apologize for the hour and a half of OJ that you had to bear with.
not my choice.
No, in reality, though, he did do a lot of work, not only preparing the stream, but the whole season, right? And so he really does deserve his credit, as much as I do like to slander him. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be, talking as much as I can, about the teams in the top 3 division. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Well, this is the div that you're bagging in.
That's right. Yeah, and I should know a lot about this division, right? And I guess we'll see.
Let's go right into it. We got our favorite team here, NXT with Sparks. I'll let you just kind of run the D3 show, and I'll do D2.
Yeah. All right. I'll try my best. I mean, do you want to alternate? Or do you want to just go?
Well, I can pop in when I know stuff, but in theory,
All
you
right,
should
all right,
know
I'll-
this div better than me.
I'll try my best. All right. So we have NXT in Division 3. Some history with this team. Played Division 3 last season, and despite actually losing most of their matches, they came surprisingly close to making playoffs. And that's because they actually lost like every single match by less than 20. So those bonus points really accumulated, and they were like 1 win away from actually making playoffs. But I think this LU looks similar to last season. You have Agar, Alex, Cacti, Jaker, Kali, Baggin, Kauja, La Toiture, Lewis, Marik, Nikki, NetUS, Pandaman, Sparkster, Striker Bagging, and Utopia. So yeah, this team was actually originally seeded in Division 4 this season, but then got moved up to Division 3 despite the complaints from a certain individual. But here they are, and they definitely can compete in this division for sure. And I can see why they got moved up, not only with their previous experience that they had in Division last season, but also with a couple notable additions, right? One very notable addition is NetUS, who I don't think is very experienced in the war scene, but is a very experienced player overall, very old player, recently came back to CTs. And I'm not sure how much he has been practicing, but I have seen him in Lounge quite a bit. So I would assume that he knows the tracks, and especially with the draft format, right, he should know the tracks quite well. And he is a very important player for their team. I'm not really sure what his strengths are necessarily, but I would imagine that he is definitely one that would play from the front majorly alongside Sparkster. Sparkster, of course, I believe this is his own team that he runs, and he is a very solid player for Division 3, right? Has quite a few seasons under his belt in this division, and every time he plays any division from Division 3 or lower, he does seem to rack up quite a lot of points and rank up quite high in the individual table. So I definitely see him in that US being kind of the front runners for this team. I really am interested in seeing Jaker if he plays. Jaker, obviously one of the greatest players at current moment, right? Overall, obviously he has his RT Division 1 finals that he has to play. But if once that gets over with, maybe with the RT downtime, he might actually end up playing CTs. And if he can, that's super important. Not only because he's so good, right? But I think he can provide that pack play that they really need. Especially with someone like Sparkster. I think Sparkster's a very fast player. I don't think he has quite the skill to play from the pack, but if you can have the support for him to be in the front and kind of have the other players do their thing in the pack, like Jaker, I think that could actually provide a very dangerous combination. And looking at some of the other players, I'm not sure if I should be talking about everyone, but I'm just kind of naming some notable players here just so we don't take forever. But I mean, Kauja has quite a few seasons under his belt for numerous teams along in Division 3 and in Division 2. I think, he doesn't have the greatest communication, I think, overall. But he is a player, and we can name numerous players like this as we go along, who kind of just does their own thing. And sometimes that's actually very, very good. I mean, we can name Budog, right, as an example for our team previously, where he doesn't really do anything, but he scores points and he does his role, right? He's there, consistent, and he's up there and he scores the points. And if you score points, you can't really complain. And I think Kauja can be that player that kind of goes under the radar and just scores a lot of points out of nowhere. And that could again be very important, especially since they need the players to score points, obviously, to win a war. But not only that, but they are the underdogs for this team, so you need those kind of players to step up, right? So overall, I think main LU would be. I don't think Jaker will play, so I think it would be Knight, Sparkster, Kauja, and then if Luis can play, I think it's Luis, right? He is a very experienced player. I'm not sure he's too active these days. I don't think he is, but he has experience, and I'm not sure if he's played Division 1, but definitely Division 2 at least for like the old RN teams, right? So he can be a very important player, very versatile player. I think not only was he very fast back in his day, but also has lots of experience, so he can play that pack role if needed. And yeah, so some other notable names. I mean, Marik has a couple of seasons under his belt as well, and has pretty good chemistry with Sparkster. I think played a few seasons with him. Nikki also has some experience, especially in Division 4, I think. I'm not sure how much they've played D3, but if you never know, they could step up to the occasion. I know they're a pretty active player, at least maybe last year. I'm not sure how active they are right now. And we all love Panaman. I think I really want to see Panaman make some appearances. He played with me in Division 6 not too long ago. I think Division 3 is a little bit foreign for him. He did play one time with Panda Squad, but if he can show up a few times, that would be great. So overall, I can see why this team got placed last, just because they were placed in Division 4. So naturally, you're going to think, oh, what team should I put last? I guess I'll put the team that was seeded one division lower, right? But they had honestly a decent season last time, and they have some notable additions. I think they could actually steal a playoff spot if they were to play right, and if their mentality is better than last season. I think last season, what really kicked them was their mentality. I think if they can have a more positive mentality going into the season, they can do really well. So those are my thoughts.
Rock on. Yeah, shout out to Panaman as always. And I guess you have to do this again because you're bagging for these guys.
Yeah, this is the team that I am bagging for, Flow 1, and again, I do want to open up again with some history with this team. I think they had a really interesting. I'm not sure if people really caught this on, but they had a very interesting preseason because this team was not what it was going to be going into the season. You actually had a main lineup of, I believe it was Dylan. I think AT was still there. Dylan, AT, Riku, and Jam was going to be Flow 1's main lineup, if I recall. Maybe Murray was there too. And you had TK all the way in Division 1 sign up for A86. And that team dropped. And by the way, that team dropping, I think, caused the most, I don't want to say damage, but the most changes out of any team that has ever dropped ever. Because not only did you have the whole Division 1 scenario, but even Flow changed a lot. Because what happened was TK moved down to Flow 2, why ever he's there, not in Flow 1. I can get to that. And because TK moved down to Flow 2, Jam and Riku actually moved down with him. And then Flow 1 brought back up Brigid and Flavian from Flow 2 up to Flow 1. So the teams almost flipped, right? And the reason for that, you really would expect TK to be in Flow 1, but what Dylan did is he kind of did it based on track taste. Dylan is like the only original Flow member who kind of likes those wacky CTs. So if you take a look at this team's draft list, it's just all the incredibly crazy and janky CTs that you can think of. And whereas Flow 2 really have a lot of the flatter tracks, right? So with this team, I mean, just looking at some of the newer additions to this team, AT has lots of experience in Division 2, numerous seasons with Destination and Maximum, right? And he can be a very solid front runner for this team. I think he's the guy that personally, as the bad guy, I'm relying on to try and be up there a lot. I've seen that in scrims, and I think he can replicate that in matches. Brigid, there is a tad bit of a language barrier there, but he does know enough English to make simple communications and understand what's going on. And he, again, has lots of Division 3 experience, not only with the Banana Clan, but also with Flow last season, where I think he actually did very well. And if he can get out of his comfort zone a little bit, I think he can actually excel as a runner for this team. Murray has one of the more impressive time trial sheets, I'd say, on this team. I think he lacks a little bit of consistency, something that I can also relate to. But, you know, he has the Division 3 experience with Pure Luck 2. I know that's a very infamous Division 3 failure clan, but experience counts. Sorry, Michael. But, you know, he has that experience and has the speed. If he can just increase his consistency and his mentality at times, I think he can do really good. But the real player that I haven't talked about yet that is the glue for this team and has to play is Dylan. I've bagged in scrims with Dylan and without him, and the difference is honestly monumental. Not necessarily in terms of skill, but just the mentality and the comms, right? This guy is for sure the IGL for this team, and he really brings the team together, not only in terms of calling things, but in terms of the team's mentality. So I think he's invaluable for this team. In terms of the substitutions, I mean, Flavian is definitely there to play a few matches. For those who don't know, he's actually quite an old player who came back recently, so he does have experience, and he's been grinding the tracks a lot, so he knows the tracks very well, and he can definitely slot in at any time. On the contrary, Jose is more of an older player. He's also an older player, but he isn't as active as Flavian is currently, so I wouldn't see him playing as much. But again, he is a very experienced player, and he used to play in like top divisions, like CT Diamond and Lounge, all that stuff. So if he were to come back and play a little bit more actively, you know, he could be very important. And Fusion, I wouldn't see him playing too much. He was in Flow 2 last season. He made a couple of appearances there. He could slot in if needed. I don't think he's playing too much at the moment, but again, he is another option with how few players there are in this team where he could be needed and slot in. So overall, I can see why this team got predicted low, mainly because it's just kind of the same team as last season, but without TK, right? And TK was kind of the star player of that team. But with a season under our belts and with AT being transferred in, and a team that's overall more familiar with the CTs than last time, where you had kind of some more RT players like TK and Solar and Broly playing, where they really suffered in all tracks, right? I think this team could definitely do well, and you know, if I can do my part and try and pull some shots, then I think, you know, we have a good shot at playoffs. I believe in this team, so yeah. Awesome. So moving on to JC. I don't know this team too well actually, but looking at their lineup, I know they're obviously more of an RT-centric team with some RT players there and a couple of very notable players as well here. I don't know who they're going to play. I know obviously just as a standout, Kairos is there, who was a Division 1 player the last time he played CTL with AE86, and a very active lounge player at the moment, right? If he were to play 10 out of 10, he's definitely an MVP contender for this division. I've seen that he has no interest in playing, and I'm not sure how that really affected this team's seedings and their prediction. Maybe some players thought that he would play. If he does, though, that would be obviously incredible for this team. But even if he doesn't, this team has some players that, while most of them aren't too active at the moment, at least they weren't in past seasons. You know, if they can come together and really grind out the CTs, especially in draft format, they can do really well. Obviously, the leader of this clan is Casper US. And I mean, he's had his fair share in PL as well, playing with us. And he's obviously just a great player to play with, and a very, very talented player, right? RT Division 1 player. And with draft format, I'm sure he knows all the CTs on at least on their list. And so that raw skill alone will definitely allow him to excel in this division, I think. Especially in a war format. I think this guy really is just good at kind of making plays and being a playmaker. So that'll be very important for this team. Looking at other players, I see Paul there. I'm not sure how much he will play, because I know he's played even in Division 1 recently with Destination, right? So he does have the ability to play in this division for sure. Very, very talented player. I'm not sure how much he will play. Satsumi will play for sure, because I've seen her around quite a bit this season. Very solid player, at least a few years ago, right? A couple of banners to her name as well in the lower divisions. Played actually CT Division 2, if I recall, with Execute, at least for a little bit. So she has a higher CT experience under her belt as well. It's just a matter of how active she is, right? But I'm sure this team kind of drafted a lot of the simpler tracks. So at the very least, if she isn't practicing, there'll be some familiarity there. And, you know, especially on those simpler tracks, this team can do very, very well. I'm not sure who else would play if Kairos isn't playing. I do know Krusty would play, right? Krusty, very, very active player at the moment. And very, honestly, fast improving. I think it was just a year ago when this guy would only play color circuit, right? And once color circuit got removed, honestly, I thought this guy would retire from CTs. It'd be over, right? I would never hear from this guy again. But here he is in Division 3, you know, bagging for 2 teams simultaneously as well. So most active player currently in CTL. You know, he's doing everything. And you know, he's a very, very solid player. I haven't scrimmed with him running that much. I've only really seen him bag, but I have bagged against him when he runs. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And he does seem to perform quite well. And I think his CT knowledge really has expanded well beyond color circuit. So I think he can definitely do very well. So if you have Krusty, Casper, Satsumi, and I guess Paul / Kairos, if you could sub in a few matches. I don't think Josh and Z is that active anymore. Neither are some of the other players in this lineup, which are mainly just RT players. I don't think Rosen's really touched the CT very much. But yeah, overall, especially with draft format, you know, the RT teams, that's where they can excel. And especially since playoffs are going to be draft format too, I think, for the most part. So yeah, this team can do very well, and I can see why they got placed relatively high in this division.
Not to mention also, I have bagged for Krusty on the same team. We played a match last season in DFC. With him running, I was honestly like really impressed with his comms and just his ability on the track. I mean, he didn't score a ton, but he was like a very, very reliable player. Made some good like impact plays. So I would be honestly kind of shocked if he didn't start for these guys. I think he definitely would.
Oh yeah, 100%. He has to start, especially looking at some of these players. I don't think many of them are too active, right, in CTs. And just wanted to touch. I forgot about the bagging, right? You got Mellow bagging. Who was bagging for the team we went last time? Who was that? What team was it before?
That was your team, bro.
Oh, it was me. No, what about the first team?
The first team? Oh, Sparks.
Yeah, because I need to know who's bagging against me, bro.
Oh, jeez. Wrong way.
Striker, the infamous bagger Striker. I mean, we all know Striker. He gets his slack, but to be honest, he's actually a pretty good bagger in his own right. Knows a lot of the strats, so I'm gonna have to prepare for that. Either way, though, Mello, I've actually bagged quite a bit against Mello. Honestly, one of the players I've bagged the most against. And we always have some good battles, to be honest. You know, very talented runner, has the CT knowledge, and knows quite a few of the bagging strats. I think for Division 3, he's a solid bagger. He has bagged in Division 3 before, so you know, I think he's well capable of doing that job for this team. So I don't think that's a hindrance for this team. You know, because bagging is obviously, especially as you climb the divisions, bagging becomes more and more important. But yeah, he can definitely serve that role for them.
Yeah, I don't think Mysterious Mike is too bad of a bagger here. I think he'll be just fine.
Nah, he's chilling.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, my favorite team. All right, so we're gonna start with the bagger here. They got the best bagger in the entire world, Ivan, bagging. I don't know if he knows a single strat apart from Rainbow Road Solar Edition, but it's okay. Ivan will find a way, as he always does. But on serious, I'm just gonna call this team LV rather. Looking at the team roster, you have some pretty standard names for LV, and then some surprises as well. Looking at their main, it really depends on activity, right? So it's difficult. But on paper, I'd say, well, Bolly would play because he's been very active. Callum would play, Clyde, And then the 4th slot would really depend. I would go Nathan or Season. I know that's Mario Kart Wii is not really their main game anymore. Shocker is honestly pretty underrated. It could play a few. Actually, Sufi's played a few mid-tier Mokis too, from what I can recall. And I don't think he's very serious about it, but he definitely has at least played a bit, so he could play that role as well. Z Devil was just looking for a Division 1 team, and he couldn't get it. Unfortunately, he had to settle with Division 3. But regardless, yeah, I can see why this team was placed high. Some very, very solid and experienced players. I mean, Callum Online, this guy goes back all the way to the old days, right? Before most of us were even playing. So not as active these days as he was. So I would say he's a little bit past his prime. But regardless, he's a very, very good player for Division 3. And I think probably the player that, if he were to step up the activity a bit, is a player that they could rely on. I think Bali's a very underrated shout for this team. Bali is honestly a very rapidly improving player. I actually played against him running
Yeah, we both
in a
did.
scrim before, and he definitely held up. Like, he was actually very solid. And to my surprise, honestly, because I never really saw much of Bali, to be honest. Apart from the Shaga Lembercool clip, that's all I really knew about him. But he's definitely rose to the occasion. I think he did really well last season in Division 4, was it, right? Very high average. I think he MVP'd the division, actually. Yeah, he actually MVP'd the division there. So, yeah, naturally, the next step up is Division 3. And I think he's very capable, and he's their most active player at the moment, running-wise. So, definitely a player to look out to. Clyde is always a strong player for mid-div, right? Very experienced player for this division across numerous teams, mainly for his own clan, CY, right? Playing for LB this time. I'm not sure how he fares in terms of the chemistry for the team, how well he knows these players, but in terms of just an individual skill department, he's very, very good. But I do just question a little bit of the chemistry there, because I know he's very used to being the IGL, the leader, the top dog on his team, right? And I think this time, if he can step it back a bit and kind of play more of a support role where he can just kind of do his thing in the front and kind of maybe leave the comms to other players like Callum, who's more experienced, that would be great. But we'll see how it plays out. And then looking at the final runner, I mean, Season, again, very experienced player, played before even both of us were playing, right?
Yeah.
I know he mains Market 8 these days. I don't know why, but he does. But if he can pick up, again, with draft, it's very easy to pick up a player out from the abyss, right? In a draft format, it's like, here, 15 tracks, learn them, and you're good to go, right? Hope for track picks, right? So he can definitely do that. And Nathan, again, this guy, he's very interesting because I rarely see him play, but whenever he does, it doesn't seem like he's even like rusty. Like, he comes and he seems to be the same player he always was, even after not playing for a year. So I think he can very easily step in and play. I think he probably will play a little bit, if I were to guess, just because this is kind of his main team. And so I do hope to see him play, because he does impress me, honestly, just in terms of his longevity and how well he can easily just pick up the controller and play just as well as he was after not playing for a long time. In terms of, we already mentioned bagging. I think Log will honestly be the main bagger for this team, but I really want to bag against Ivan when he plays me. So yeah, overall this team, lots of versatility, good running power, good experience overall. And yeah, very solid pick. Can definitely contend for playoffs, if not take the whole thing. So, all right. Do I need to name everyone here? Because let's be honest, most of these players haven't their Wii is probably literally molding right now. But
I tell you, I think I could run through at least part of this. So,
go for it, bro. Go for it.
I got you. Take a breather here. I got this. So
sure.
We have Notorious driving off in first, player Alpha KC.
Hey, that's me, bro. Relax, okay?
Division 3 player here, Alpha KC.
By the way, side point, I'll let you go on your thing. If you guys have ever wanted to see peak just awful combination, watch Alpha Ally for PL Wars, and you can see me and Alpha working together. Echo is the amount of frustration that this guy has to receive of just I'm off. Oh man, I feel bad for you. Go on.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's kind of poignant there, right, to mention that, because I mean, he definitely is, I would say, the best player in the div, and I don't think that's really close. I mean, in terms of consistently dropping points and stuff, Alpha's definitely the guy to go to here. The up-and-comer, though, last season was none other than the Scoped Yoshi. notorious furry of the team, and also Dermo's new favorite, I've heard. Anyways, Scoped Yoshi also has been dropping off some big points. I think in the last season, I think he outscored Alpha. But to quote Alpha, the last time we had a conversation, now that Alpha's turning on his Wii more than once a week or once every other week, he is confident that he will be able to take back the reins from Scope. So I guess we'll see maybe an MVP battle between those two there. But I mean, you already kind of know the story, right? They're going to be the two big point scorers on the team. Barry has been de-rusting. He's been searching for wards recently, and I mean, you know how he is. He's RT master or something. So I mean, he'll be fine for sure. And their track list is something he's been playing on for years. So especially with draft format, I don't really think he's going to be much out of his element. It'll be a pretty reliable guide. Of course, you can't have IF without Dermo. Right, so I mean that's their main lineup right there, and there's a reason why they're seeded to win the div, right? I mean, they have probably the two of the best runners in the div, I'd say right now, or at least two of the most consistent in quotes, if you want to call Alpha consistent. But I mean, they have big points on the team, right? And you have RT experience on the team, and I mean the Irish leader. What more could you need? And Boshi bagging obviously is pretty hard to beat, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
And
No.
J-Ray, we didn't really mention him, but J-Ray's been on the bag grind. Yeah, no, I talked with Trent when we were looking for a bagger earlier this last season, and I mean, I was told by him that like J-Ray's, he's like he's not there yet, but he has like the mentality and he has the energy to like get there, right? And just given time, this guy will, he'll mature into a much better bagger from the sounds of it. So hopefully he's able to get some weeks over Boshi. I'd imagine he is, just due to availability, and I'm not sure if Boshi's going to be super committed. But I mean, who knows, right? Anything else to add before we move on here from IF?
No, I mean honestly, I'm surprised this team wasn't predicted first. Maybe because they just haven't won a banner in so long.
Oh, I thought they
and
were
I apologize for
predicted
that. Well, I see number 2, so I don't know.
Wait,
one of us is wrong, but either way.
Oh, no, there's Bowl.
Oh, right, because Bowl Ball got moved
Yeah,
down.
that makes sense. Okay.
Actually, yeah, either way. Yeah, but I mean, 1.69 is still a very solid score, and you know, I can see why these guys got predicted so high. I think Barry stepping up is a huge boost for them. I will make that little comment. I was very scared for these guys in terms of the 4th runner slot, because I originally heard that Barry wasn't going to really play, but now that I'm seeing Barry actually a lot more committed than I expected in CTs, probably the most committed I've seen of him, at least in the past few years. That can be a huge bonus for this team, and a lot of these guys Scope is kind of entering his prime right now, and Alpha is finally picking up the controller again. So yeah, these guys are great. I can see them do well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they'll have to draft up a LT for a match, so I'd imagine they have a pretty consistent lineup every week. And with that, we go to last team in the div here, Bull, the unfortunate losers of the only playoff match not playoff, but play-in. I don't know what the
Qualifier.
is. Qualifier match. There we go. Thank you. I mean, there was a bit of contention, I think, based on their seeding, just due to Backcake being on the team. But another what if he plays sort of deal. And during the qualifier match for Bowl, he was TTing custom tracks. So I don't.
Yeah, he was like on City Run. I'm like, whoa, get in the war. What are you doing?
He beat Dante, man. He beat Dante's like what 5-year-old.
Yeah,
record
I mean,
there?
fair enough. He his team. That was like, bro, when I stepped out of Division 3 finals because I had work. It's like, sorry, bro. Like I got my retail job. Like, and then I'm sure you guys will win. And lo and behold, I shouldn't have trusted Michael H that much. If he even played it, and we lost.
Ton having flashbacks to that haircut there, and what was it, D5?
Yeah, but I mean, it happens like every time, right?
And top 5 reasons to miss playoffs, I guess, or qualifiers in this case. But anyways, you got Adlo as well. Adlo's probably, I mean, as according to Forward, Adlo's probably their best player right now on CTs. I don't know if I'd rate him higher than Ford. Maybe it's just I don't have enough experience with him. But Ford's also like a very, very competent player, right? And also, I think their main 4th, if you would be Jade in this case, or Snoopy. Either way, right? They're probably not playing Backcake, so I'd imagine the lineup is Snoopy, Jade, Ford, Adlo. Pretty much 10 for 10. And again, right? I don't like.
You got some players you can summon, but yeah.
I don't really see a standout like main talent here. It's one of those like very, very like, well-rounded teams. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know exactly what their plan is in terms of how they're going to go at the div here. I didn't really look at their list. I do know that their bagger, Gwen, was actually like Ryan bagged against Gwen recently in a match that we scrimmed against these
guys.
So did I. And I mean, you did okay. Well, I remember Ryan told me like mid-match, he's like, yeah, I expected to come and pull up and just absolutely thrash this person, and they actually kind of know their stuff. So I mean, that's about as high as a compliment.
I had
you
the
can
same
get from
thought.
Ed. So
Yeah, I got. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they have a bad bagger at all, and I think they'll actually be able to
No,
hold right
no,
there.
he during I don't know what it was during preseason. This guy grinded the strats. He improved a lot because I remember because he badged against me. I think he did against in Division 6 when I badged for Eastside 5, and he wasn't like he didn't know that many strats, to be honest. And if he did, it was a little bit slow. But now he's just like one triangle, a lot of the strats, and he definitely improved.
I actually did forget Snowy. Forgot to mention Snowy also very, very, very solid. Has been playing kind of lowish div last few seasons. But I mean,
He played D3 last time.
Was it D3 last time? Okay, I just remember.
Yeah, he played D3 last time with
okay.
Owell.
I just remember he like thrashed. So
It was D6. It was D6. He thrashed that, went undefeated. When D3 thrashed that again, but he lost a flag.
Yeah.
And now they're back in D3.
I remember he was like hard carrying both those teams. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how he can slot into a team where he's maybe not the standout runner anymore.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, they again like very well-rounded lineup, right? No like insane running power, no like anchors to the team. It's gonna be interesting to see these guys play. And on that
For
note, I guess I'll take over D2. At least for what
Yeah, you can take over. As much of it as you would like. And if you ever want me to slot in for a few teams as you did with Division 3, then just let me know, and I can add to my side comments as well.
Bet, yeah, no, I mean, I have my match in like 50-ish minutes or so not really a speedrun, but kind of a speedrun at this point. Okay, so...
Wait, Red are playing?
Yeah, we're playing against SV.
Oh, shoot, okay.
No bagging
Can
practice
you
in 2 hours.
better raid yourself, bro.
Yeah.
I need to watch that bagging. Alright, go on.
Okay, so main lineup that I would imagine we see for this team, at least as of right now, is probably going to be Lawrence. Obviously, I rate Lawrence very high. I might even rate him higher than Lockie. I know most people rate Lockie higher, but just like I've like talked with Lawrence on this sort of like determination and commitment he has towards the game is really admirable, and I really think he's incredible. Lockie obviously is, I think, the well-renowned like best player on the team, and then probably Silver and Lachlan. Would you tend to agree?
Canton. Dude, Canton's
I
a goat.
missed Canton. Oh, shit. Yeah, my bad. Okay, Canton obviously playing. No, dude, I remember we tried to recruit Canton back when we were like D2 to play, and he was just like, I don't want to be bothered. Like, I'm too busy and shit. I don't think he plays lounge at all or anything, but still drops like
No, but dude, I think in the qualifier he just put up huge points. I think also in if you want a little fun fact, Division 3 Finals Match 2 when I badged against Flo, this guy scored 140.
Okay.
He scored 140 in D3 Finals. Or
Yeah.
semis rather, D3 semis. So yeah, he's great.
No, I forgot Canton, bro. That guy is so under the radar. But yeah, I mean, in bagging like Scope Yoshi, the guy is. I mean, he's young. He's a lot of energy. He's like able to practice and shit, right? I'm sure he'll be fine.
He's very good. I've bagged against him many times, and this guy knows the strats very, very well. I think maybe on the flat tracks, originally there was a bit of a lack of experience there, but now it's his second time, I think, bagging. He also bags RTs, so he has a lot more experience in the flatter tracks, and the strats he can do no problem because he has a lot of practice there.
And if they want to pull out the funny bagging strats, I'm sure they can have Demons play a GP, and you can go Shooting Star, and they can do all the funny fast
Wolf Castle Grounds and
Wolf Castle Grounds, Dark Matter Fortress, Candy Coaster, I think. There's a few.
The fun stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I remember there's like a full GP worth of tracks you can pick. But anyways, yeah, they're placed bottom of the div. I mean, it makes sense. They just made quals to get up here. But honestly, I think they'll be just fine on the div. I mean, they have very good running power. I'd expect something even higher than. I mean, 6. I was thinking like 4th place finish for them. But I mean, you really never know. It just depends. Like, I think how much Lawrence and Lucky are really able to pull extra weight here and Canton. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes, right? Because D2 is looking a bit different now with MI and Triton out of the picture, so it really is up for grabs for I think a lot more teams. Aside from Rise, obviously, and we'll get to that because they were the highest predicted team out of any team in the entire league, maybe even ever. Like score. It's pretty insane. Anyways,
I can do Silver Knight, bro. Let me get me. I got some friends here. I'll do Silver Knight real quick. All right. So Silver Knight, to everyone's surprise, won Division 2 last season, and they were predicted last. So that honestly, as a feat alone, I've never seen that, and that was very impressive. They had a huge loss, as everyone knows, in this season where they lost Kit, right? So that in itself is, a very big loss for them. But despite that, they actually got predicted higher this season than last time, even without Kit. And that honestly, the Division 2 winner difference there. see how much that really improves everyone's faith on this team. Despite that, though, they're still predicted 5th out of 6th. So, and a lot of players did expect this team to be seeded in Division 3. But yeah, looking at main LU, you have Michael H, Amanda, OJ, and Nathan. And so we're just gonna start honestly with the bagging. Nathan, one of the best baggers at current moments in CTs, and he was a huge part as to why this team won Division 2 last season. I want to say, alongside Kit, this guy would win shot count almost every war, and that was a huge bonus for their team. So I can definitely see him doing that again this season, especially with Miwi and Psycho gone, right? I'm definitely. So good luck, Echo, I guess, in 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah, have fun. And looking at some other players, I mean, Michael H, I would want to comment a few, obviously, close friend of mine, known him for many years now. And I just want to point out the Michael H difference, okay? SV were Division 3 2 seasons ago, got moved up to Division 2 with Michael H being transferred in, and they won Division 2, all right? So don't underestimate the Michael H difference, all right? But in reality, this guy's actually pretty consistent front runner. I'd say more consistent than me, easily. And, you know, he's put up points. Last season, you saw that. In scrims, you can see that. So if he can have the right support, and if he can just be up there, I'm not sure how much he really provides apart from that, but he is the guy to look out for. If you just need someone to front run and consistently chain running tracks and pull up points, he's the guy that needs to step in, especially with Kit gone, right? He has a lot of weight on his shoulders, because before that, even if like they had like a terrible race, right? No shock, and like everyone's falling off, right? You got like wheel players and everything, right? No offense. You still had Kit getting first, right? So at the very least, you got one bottom 3, which is like manageable, right? But now you really need everyone to play their role and step up consistently. So a lot of weight on Michael H's shoulders, but I think he has more confidence now with that Division 2 win. And he can definitely put up some performances alongside End. End is, again, and on paper, in terms of time trials, he's actually the fastest player on this team, even more than Michael H. I've seen some weaknesses in terms of his consistency. Also, I've heard rumors of him burning out a lot, but come on, bro. Like, you know, gotta fix that. But if he can fix those weaknesses, right, especially the latter one, him and Michael H have huge roles in just being consistently in top 2 as much as they can be, and trying to put up as many points as they can. OJ, on the other hand, really has to provide the role compression as being the sole pack player for the team. I think that's really his role. Not only just driving in front of players, that as a we will player, that's probably enough, right? But just getting the triple reds, getting the bombs, the TCs, doing all that stuff, and really just trying to support Michael and as much as he can. And he can do that. I mean, you saw it last season quite a bit, but now, you know, I think he has to do that even better this time, because he doesn't have Kit, because Kit sometimes doesn't even need that support, right? He can just do it on his own. But OJ really has to step in and provide that support for his team. And the reason for that is because their last runner is Amanda. And the thing with Amanda, we commented a bit on that, the kind of the Budog theory, right? Where he doesn't really do anything, but he scores. Right, you'll see Amanda kind of go under the radar. He may not even say a single word all race, apart from like, you know, like hold shock, I'm in first or something, right? But in drive, he actually is quite consistent, and he will just score points, right? But he won't provide the pack play that OJ provides, right? So OJ really has to have that role compression to do that on his own, and if he can do that and support End and Michael, Amanda's the kind of guy they can fall back on, whereas if everyone is having a bad race, at least Amanda was consistent enough to stay on the track and get like a third or something, right? And I think he's definitely the guy that can do that for their team. And he pulls up points. Like, I don't even know how he does it. Same with Budog. Like, I just don't see this guy all race, and he just gets first. I don't know. It's some sort of magic or what, but he's kind of that guy on their team that can do that. So I do see that team, those players playing most of the time. Lemmy is definitely a shout out. I honestly, Lemmy has improved a lot. I see this guy in Lounge recently actually putting up a lot of points in Lounge. A lot more than me anyways. And I know he's learning Chuck. I think this season's a little bit too soon for that, but even on wheel, this guy has vastly improved, and he can slot in at any moment, and kind of play probably the Amanda role, if anything, right, for their team, and just kind of try and score as many points as he can. But yeah, overall, I mean, if they can all play their part, and if they can keep getting the shocks, they can surprise everyone again this season.
Bet. Well, thank you, because that let me talk about bans and protects for war there. But now we get to go into CS, the old ACT team. But ACT is, as we know, smurfing on bottom div with some friends. So this CS team is without ACT. But I would say main lineup, let's look at this. Probably Bran, I do like Bran here. Jed's probably bagging, I guess, actual swap in as needed. And you have Towner, my man Towner there, Solar, and probably Seaside, right? If Seaside decides to Leon. I don't think
they need Seaside. Yeah, especially with Act gone, they need to rely on Seaside here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be
as a fourth runner. Yeah, because I don't think many of the other ones are active too much.
I mean, this team's always been. It's like almost similar to Bobo at this point, right? Where there's like no real. I don't say like standout runner on their team.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have really good chem. They've been playing together for ages at this point, right? And I mean, they've been through really everything. So it's just one of those teams where it's almost like there's not a lot to say about it because they've like done this every single season, right? They've had pretty much the exact same lineup plus Act, right? They go and they play D2, and they usually make playoffs or get close or whatever, right? So I know it's a bit underwhelming there. Maybe the addition of Seaside will be able to bring them up some points because I know Seaside played Division 1. It had what was the average for Seaside? D1.
I don't remember. I think it was actually quite high, wasn't it? It was like 29.
I remember
pushing 30 almost.
First season, it was like 25 or 26. It was rough.
Hey, I've done worse. I've done worse. That's not even comment about my average, bro.
Yeah, well, playing as Seaside, I think if Seaside plays, dropping like 33 average, I could see that very easily. Maybe Seaside will fill the role that Act has sort of vacated. I'm going to play bottom div now, but I mean, only time will tell here. Really excited to see Towner playing again. That guy's super cool. So hoping they can really form a good roster together here, and I think it's very possible. And Nuclear can obviously slot in as needed. But yeah, I mean, not really much to say about these guys. Sorry about that.
I will say one slight comment. I think draft format benefits those guys a lot.
They do like the flat tracks, yes.
They do like the flat tracks, and now they know at the very least what tracks they will get picked against them, right? Have picked against them. There will be no surprise like, I don't know, random like Santa Clock Tower thrown in their face. I know Solar hates that track, but like at least they know what's coming towards them, and yeah, I think draft benefits them quite a lot. Yeah, but you can move on.
I can pull up their list really fast. It's like BNC, Sandstone Cliffs, Snowland, BC4, Incendia, Twin Peaks, Semez BC3, Ice Cream Fortress, Fort Francis. Like all these tracks are flat aside from like, I guess maybe Ice Cream Fortress, everyone's like that, right? But I mean, they just pick really flat stuff and, stuff they really don't have to practice because they play it on for a ton of time. So, yeah, I mean, I imagine it's going to be a pretty boilerplate season for them. And up next, Omega. And I think, like, you still have, the two, I would say, lead runners of Omega registered for the team, that being Boshi and Weeksy. The dynamic duo has really never let up on this team, and they've been playing for this, I don't even know, 5 seasons, that same pair of two. I know that
way more than that. Way more than that. Many years.
These two together. Okay, I don't know. Point is, it's been ages, right? So really don't expect to see a change there. And I don't really know how they're going to be filling up the rest of the roster. It really is just kind of they're one of those teams that'll just take whoever's canned up. I know because I used to play there, but I imagine like Sardine's probably going to play some. Ice might turn on his Wii if Takio decides to come back. Maybe. I doubt it. He sometimes plays the match season. And yeah, Trevor for sure. But dude, I miss the days of Doge Ween on, getting back from work. He hasn't played the game in like 3 months, and then goes and drops 120, and then doesn't come back for like a year. So I really hope Doge does that because that was incredible stuff to see. But yeah, that's probably what the team's gonna be. Hint's bagging as well. I mean, very solid bagger as of late. I bagged against him 2 seasons ago. I mean, he fucks me, so good on him. I'm sure he'll be great for the div here. And really, they don't have a lot to worry about there. And obviously with Boshi, if there's any like new strats or anything, he'll be the first to know probably. So yeah, they're predicted 3rd here. I could see them going up to 1st. I mean, they've been former D1 players, so it really just depends on how well they choose to take this series, how seriously they decide to take the season, and how well they play.
I think they will, honestly. I think they got obviously, unfortunately, placed at the bottom last season, right? Yeah. So I don't think that, I'm not sure how serious they took it last time, but at the very least, that has to be some sort of motivation or drive, right, for them to do better this season. And especially with M-Line, Trenton gone, I think these guys can definitely do it, and especially if they can play their races out right and get to the front early. They are very, very difficult to get out of the front spots. If they can play their races right, they can be a very devastating team.
Bet. Okay, team I'm bagging for it now. This is pretty easy.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Yeah, so lineup on this one kind of varies. The thing about Red is that they don't. Yeah, definitely. They don't really have leadership on the team. It's one of those things where they don't really have an IGL. I guess Val coming back if he actually decides to play You know, it'll be great for them because Val does provide that role, and I'm hoping he does. And that's why we've slotted him today for the match. But again, right, like if he's not leading, the call is a bit awkward to try to organize like big plays on like shocks, for example, or pows or anything. People just kind of like fall through the cracks. So I'm hoping this season, at least if they're able to work that up, I really do think they have potential to win the div. I mean, it's a steep uphill climb, but it's one of those ones where it's like, well, in theory, if they play their cards well, they can do it. Anyways, main lineup, probably going to be Akira, Letta, Lux, Val. Matt can definitely play. Matt's actually been on a pretty decent grind. I saw earlier he's been TTing some of the new tracks. Like I saw he has like a semi-decent time on Wario's Climate Cataclysm.
My favorite track.
Yeah, no, I know it's our favorite track, but either way, he's got a pretty decent time there. And I mean, the fact that he's done that makes me feel like he's actually prepped for a lot of these new tracks. And I bagged a War from recently too, and he didn't do half bad. So I would expect to see him probably slot in at some point, maybe for like Letta or Val, because I think pretty much every match, in theory, you're gonna have Akira and Eve run, just because it's one of those things where it's like, Akira consistently, in quotes again, because he does fall off a lot, kind of like Alpha, will drop big points if he's enabled. And with Eve, I mean, he did the same in D1. He's just kind of not in the mode of carrying right now, it seems like. And when he does, you know, he will drop those big points, especially against other teams in the div, right? I mean, it's not like he's competing against like a Brody or a Zill or something, right? He's, I mean, probably one of the best running talents in the div, I would say at this point, if not the best, in terms of just like raw technical ability. So
Sure.
we'll see if he chooses to care. I guess MHS would give him a run for that money. And MHS probably outdoes him just in terms of game sense, but point is, he has that ability, and we'll see if he actually decides to try this season. And I'm probably bagging over volumes just because I've been like actually grinding strats. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm hoping that we can go far and, you know, actually give it a shot, but you never know. We could just completely, I don't know, we could fall out. We had Dromedary yesterday in chat say that they only have 4 reset tracks and 5 if you include Dragonite's Island, because he thinks it's a running track. So we're kind of just playing with those types of people, and I guess we'll see how that goes. Any other comments for Red, or am I good to go?
I think yeah. I think, you know, in the past few seasons you guys had a couple of weaknesses, mainly just in terms of, like you said, IGL, and also just determining rosters, right? I think if you have a more consistent roster, we're all active, and all, you know, and all standouts right in Division 2, because you guys have a couple standouts alone, right? It just the matter of just, you know, I know it maybe seem hard to like leave out a few people, but if you can really just play the same couple people each match, you guys can go all the way. And I can definitely see that.
If we get Swampy in, I'm sure that can go great. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, to nobody's surprise, Rise was predicted first in the division, and actually got the stats up there on it.
It wasn't 1.00. I thought it was 1.00. Okay, who voted them second?
Well, there were 17 total predictions by the looks of it, and 16 placed them first. So
yeah, it was one. I think that's the same with 6E. I'm looking at you, JC.
Someone just trolled and put them in second or something just for.
Probably JC.
Yeah, I mean dude, I don't know. There's like almost no chance that these guys don't win. They just have such an insane lineup, and I'm honestly kind of shocked that they're not in D1 over, I mean, really MI or Triton. But you have MHS. Lots of stuff happened preseason with him, but definitely, I mean, the best runner probably in the div in terms of just how well-rounded he is as a player and how quick he is. One of those guys where, I mean, I think OJ mentioned with Clay earlier, you kind of just let him go up front and he's going to be getting 15 points every race. Like, you need to hit him out. And he's been grinding RTs as well to try to improve his pack play. So, I mean, just like a player that really should not be in this division. You have Mello as well, Mr. Mysterious. That guy's definitely going 10 for 10. He's picking all his gimmick shit, Starry Cityscape every single race. Yup. You got Freeze. No, I'm just kidding. Fifi probably not playing. Had to point that out though. Ops and Juicy, I think, are their 3rd and 4th respectively. And I mean, it's just like it's a tight core of players that have been playing together for quite a bit at this point. Even if they're not actually registering, this clan has been going for quite a while. And I mean, I'd really be shocked if they don't win the div. I think the only way they lose is if like Ops and Juicy like over troll every single race and drop 60s, and like MHS isn't able to like 120 and Mello isn't able to drop like a big score either, right? Like, I mean, I think that's pretty much the only way they lose. And Ops does have a tendency sometimes to go too much for the niche in a war scenario, and you know that's part of the fun that he has, right? He likes to mess around with this.
I-
But yeah.
Dude, I think like a record for ops in terms of stealing my item boxes was like 3 item sets in a row. Like, dude, I actually got like insanely frustrated. But that's just his talent, man. And like, it works so well. Like the team cohesion works so well, right? Because Mello and MHS are just standout runners. I don't know if it was because this guy's like hotspot was dead or something, but Mello definitely hit the time trials since he came back. Because like, bro, since I've been playing against him, like every turn he's just like gaining on me, like every time. Like it was, I had noticed that a lot big before, but like now especially, like he must have like hit the time trials or something. He got really fast his break, and so those two being up there and just ops, being the anchor and supporting, and then Juicy can kind of be a versatile player, like play either role, right, depending on what team they're against and how the race plays out. So if they can use that cohesion well, I don't see them losing. Really, I don't. They even have good baggers too, so I don't see it.
Yeah. And I mean, Mello has really acquired a good taste for a lot of these new tracks. So I'm imagining they're gonna be picking someone if, Juicy and Ops actually, manage to TT them for like 5 minutes beforehand and pick it up. It's gonna be really hard to stop them. Anyways, clear D2 favorites. I'd be flabbergasted if they don't win, but I mean, you never know. It's CTL. We've seen teams predicted bottom get first, so. Anyways, the division we're in, I can't wait to give this one. I really am thrilled, especially to talk about these first two teams here. We got Maximum. Maximum, I mean, notorious for kind of staying D2 for the last God knows how many seasons at this point. Whether it be like transfer out players or whatever. And this season, I guess CT council or board or whatever it's called decided that they had enough and wanted to throw them in D1 because they've been sitting D2 for so long. And I mean, I think they can compete in D1. Like, they definitely have the ability to, but it's just like their roster, I feel like, is so thinned out, and it's going to be really hard to keep up, especially like there's like a gap between like the top 4 and bottom 2 teams, or at least that's how it's perceived right now. So I mean, we'll see if they're able to really flesh it out here, but their main lineup is probably going to be Satin, Jack, Lewis, and then maybe like Techrux.
It's Techrux.
Yeah, it's just like it's a good lineup, but it's not something you like imagine in D1. Like I think like Satin can play D1 just fine, right? I think Jack has like played D1 in the past. He doesn't necessarily score a ton, but I think he's like able to, right? But like I think Lewis and Techrux, like in particular, they're good players, right? But like D1 is just a big jump, and it's gonna be really. I think it's like really challenging to adapt, especially for your first season. Like I remember going like my first season from D2 D1. It's just like it's a huge fucking difference, man. It's an entirely different game. So
yeah, for sure.
I think it's gonna be really rough for them to adapt to that. Whereas I mean, some players on Triton have played that D1 experience before, and I think they might be better off for that. But I mean, who knows? They have Miwi. Miwi's a very good bagger. Probably. I mean, I don't really know who's bagging for a lot of the other teams. Probably second best in the div, maybe third, I guess. It's like I don't know. It's second or third.
Close.
Right. He's up there, and I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine. So I'm not too concerned with that right now. And obviously that's all depends on if Ryan plays or not. But we'll get into that later. Do you want to do Triton? Should I do Triton? What do you?
I can do Triton. You can switch.
There you go.
Awesome. So Triton, I guess they've run out of chances in Division 2. Finally, to get their notorious banner. But I mean, in terms of raw skill, these guys have it, and really, it was kind of their time, especially with a couple of notable transfers that they had to be put into this division. And like you said with MI, I think MI have certain strengths as well. But Triton's strengths is definitely just their sheer actual just raw talent that some of these players have, right? Main LU, you're looking at Pascal, James, Rutko, and I guess Zach would still slot himself in, right? And obviously Psycho bagging, right? And they have a couple other actual notable options, right? Vyrax is a very talented player, some actual D1 experience as well, can easily slot in. And in fact, he might even be main. It just depends on how much, because I know Zach does like to slot himself in as the clan, like he leads the clan, right? So he is deserving of being there. But either way, you have some very noble names. Vyrox, even Tiavani, right? Solid player in his own right. Serene's very solid. And if Torpedo can come out of the abyss and learn CTs, man, that like Torpedo in his prime, one of the best players, on CTs. And so yeah, like for me personally, like as a player in this division, looking at this team, I actually am pretty scared of like their talent. We've played against them in Division 2, and there was a match where we just got completely outplayed by them, and we just couldn't get the upper hand because like individually these guys were just so good. And at the time, it was back when their chemistry wasn't great because it was like one of their first couple times playing D2. So the chemistry wasn't really there yet. But now I would imagine, I haven't really followed them too much since, but I would imagine in their like 8th season, 7th season in a row, the chemistry is now starting to cement with this team. And they really need that. So if they can combine the raw talent with their chemistry, they can do very, very well. You have some players who've played Division 1 before many times. Pascal, obviously. I'm not sure if he's won D1, but he definitely was at least in finals with Melancholy, right? I think they actually maybe won once. With Torp, he was with Stop. Yeah, he definitely won a few. Same with Torp, right? If he plays, was with Melancholy. I think he also was on numerous seasons with Stop, right? And then James, I would imagine, was at least on the roster when Retain won a few times, right? So numerous Division 1 winners on this team. Ruko as well was on Retain, right? When they won, right? So they have the Division 1 experience. Maybe not as of recent, but if they can recall that, and if they can play cohesively, and again, you have, in my opinion, the best bagger in Psycho. I think every time we play Psycho, we get 0 shocks. So like if they can use those shocks and use their experience and just the raw talent and try and combine that with some chemistry and the mentality, I think as well. Mentality, I think, was a big setback for this team. I know they like to call themselves, like they like to joke around how they just never win, and everyone likes to joke about that. But in reality, these guys can definitely put up, especially with it has recently changed to a 14 playoffs. They can definitely fight with that. They can definitely fight for that. Take a couple wins from some teams, and who knows, maybe shock everyone and make playoffs and even go further. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what this team can bring to Division 1 after seeing them in Division 2 for so long. Likewise with Maximum.
But okay, we have N, or I can't remember what their actual name is. It's like
I'd win.
I'd win. Okay.
Just call them Norn Team.
Norn Team. Yeah, so main lineup, definitely King Mush as their primary runner. I don't know, Mush is the
40 point average?
Yeah, Division 1 MVP.
Season,
so I'd probably sub out soon for Mush.
Yeah, I think so.
No, so I mean, on a real note though, it's definitely soon, Nathan, Hints, and Donald. I mean, it's a team that have played together for, I mean, again, a very, very long time. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but I mean, these guys really have, right? It's like old PRS, pretty much, plus Hints, I guess. And I mean, they've really acquired like an interesting list of tracks. Right, they got, what is it, We Fight Wonderworld. They have like the core PRS stuff with like Melting.
Echo hates their list, by the way.
Yeah, it's my least favorite list. I mean, I don't know. There's some interesting ones on it, but like, they have the Rosalina Snow World. Obviously, I know Hints is really good at that. Nathan prefers the old, but they're still really big on that track.
GCN Sweeper Road.
Yeah, they got a bunch of very interesting track picks that I think most other teams, like across all divs, have sort of just avoided in large part. So we'll see if maybe their like niche list is able to pull them in. But honestly, I'm surprised they seeded N below us because we're always seeded like bottom. So I'm kind of shocked that we're I don't know. I guess maybe people realize mid semis were not terrible, but. Anyways, yeah, I mean, Soon's been a huge pickup this season ever since the Jay-Z clan decided to die. So, with Soon really filling in, I mean, because it kind of was like that 4th slot, right? And no flame to chronic slot machine player Hazard, but like, I think Soon's a pretty big pickup over him. So, I mean, we'll see how it really shakes up here, but having like that really solidified 4-team LU, I think is going to help them a lot go from whatever happened last season, where I think they went winless until like one of the last 2 matches.
They won. I think they won twice. Maybe once.
I
know they won once at least, but yeah.
They were on 0 points before we played them. Like, I think it was the second time. And it was not looking good for them. Either way, they're gonna do a lot better than that last season. So I really do see like playoffs being very, very late. Well, actually, it's 14 playoffs, so I see it as almost like a certainty here. But I mean, you never know, right? And then, oh god, there's us. Okay. Well,
big roster, not many people who actually will play here.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it's like what, you, me, Emil, and James, and Ivan, right? Those are the 5 active.
And Boodog, dude, Boodog.
Yeah, Boodog, yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things where right now we're kind of deciding like what we're gonna be doing with like James / Ivan. Because at least in my eyes right now, like James is definitely much more fit on CTs, and honestly he's been playing quite well with us. We still have comp stuff to work out with him. That's like the main barrier that we've had with playing James. And Ivan like fills a very different role to James as well. James is definitely like more of a front heavy player, and Ivan plays pack really well, largely from like RT experience, similar to like a player like Jack can, I'd say. Both have like very good pack experience from RTs, and Ivan's able to translate that quite well for us. So it's kind of just deciding how we're gonna, really shape up that lineup. The more interesting thing I would argue though is the bagging side of things, because
a lot of options.
yeah, last season
Yeah,
you wanna go
we
first?
just like yeah, bro. Like Sammy was great, and then the motivation wasn't really there, especially towards the end of the season. Call of Duty came out, whatever the game
It's
is.
been Call of Duty and football.
And it's just at Sammy won a war and we see playing Call of Duty, so we're just we're like, hey, we need another bagger. So we're like, you know what? How about we just recruit like the whole community into bagging? Like we even told Sleepy Slacker to learn the strats, right? So we got the unpredictability, I guess. You never know. The bagger, like we could slot in Merc, we can slot Jaden, could slot Ryan in, right? Even Sleepy Slacker could bag, you never know. So we got a lot of options.
The idea was like, I talked with Sammy very candidly after our semis match, and I was like, yo, so like clearly you're very good at doing a lot of things bagging wise, right? But like you didn't like practice the strats necessarily enough for a lot of them, and we want you to like kind of grind a bit more, right? So who would give you that motivation right now to grind? And he said Merc. And I was like, okay, bet. So DM Merc, and Merc said, fuck yeah, I'll come. Only condition is like troll or something. He wasn't serious, but anyways, we got Merc in, right? And then we were hoping that Merc would sort of train Sammy up. Looks like Sammy is just too addicted to playing Call of Duty. So it doesn't really look like that's happening very much, but honestly, Merc has been pretty decent in the matches we've had him back for us. So I don't think that's a bad pull at all right now for us. Jade has supposedly been practicing strats, have never had him bagged for us yet. So I guess we might find out during the season how that works. And Justin's obviously been brushing up a bit, but we've had Ryan bag several scrims for us.
Oh yeah.
He's been insistent that like it's a sort of call on an emergency case, so we're respecting that as much as we can. I know he wants to play, I think in theory, 4 matches right now of our 10-match season. So he's definitely going to be limited to just that. I mean, if he wants to play more, obviously he's more than welcome to, because I think in terms of like commitment and skill level, he's our best bagger by quite a bit. But it's really just up to sort of how he feels about it. And is that all? Hey, Jesse's completely dead. Charlie's at school.
That's everyone.
Yeah.
Mumbles, actually, don't forget, dude. Mumbles,
D1 runner,
star Division 1 player, dude. He just got his rider set up, man. He's ready. So
hell yeah.
Be scared, guys.
And then, oops, went the wrong way. My bad. Low taper fade. These guys really have had quite a few roster changes, I would say, over this last season here. I mean, especially like after the death of Jay-Z, and with MHS going there and then leaving to go play Rise, it's been quite the change up. In Winter now back. He, unlike Sammy, has managed to quit his Call of Duty addiction. So Winter is now at least on the team. I'm hoping he plays. It just depends on who they're really fielding here. I'm definitely playing Pepe every match. They're playing Volumes every match because he IGLs. They're playing Ton every match because he's Ton. And I mean that really just leaves that 4th slot open for like Winter or Thunder probably. I don't really know what their plan is with that. Because obviously I would say most people would agree Thunder is a better rounded player, but I'm not sure if the chem's there or if they want to play him over Winter or whatever right now. But clearly they have some sort of plan. They have 5 really good runners that we will fill in. If Jason Rideout is ever able to turn on his way, I don't think they'll be too opposed to having him either. And Mike's been on the season.
I don't think so, but he's there.
Yeah, I mean he's in Europe right now. He's been posting pictures in like the GeoGuessr server. He's been. I'm
not surprised. This guy has a life we don't. Like,
he's having fun, man. He's having a lot of fun. And they got Krusty to bag. There was that whole bag drama where they didn't have a bagger, and they thought they were going to drop for a bit. And I guess that's what happened. OJ gave Krusty the ability to bag for 2 teams, so Krusty's bagging here now. I mean, I don't think he's terrible. It's going to be rough because this is definitely like actually the best bagging div now. Because you got some pretty good baggers here on like 6C.
For sure.
If Ryan plays, I think Mui's really good. Right? It's like you're actually going to have some pretty stiff competition now, so we'll see if Chris is able to match that. But that's really all for low tape. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all. Like these guys, it really just depends on their chemistry, right? Some new additions. But just in terms of raw talent, the names they have, it's terrifying playing against these guys. And we've had definitely some rough matches against these guys alone, even without some of the additions they had. So it'll definitely be a very interesting match and high intense match. I think I'm excited for it.
That being said, I think was it IF that played these guys in a war?
When?
I remember someone played Low Tape at a war, and Low Tape got kind of smacked. It was like some D3 or D2 team.
Oh, wasn't it A86, right? Like preseason before they dropped.
I don't know.
So
It
Low
was,
Tape
it
did
was
really well.
somewhat. It looked pretty
I
good.
don't know.
We'll see how they're able to transition the team.
Oh, for low tape, you mean?
Yeah,
You
for
mean,
Low Tape. Low Tape.
For that was against Rise and Squad Q.
Okay, that was it. Yeah, it was Rise. That was Rise. But I mean, either way, right? I mean, they clearly have the running talent and stuff, so we'll see how that goes for them. And
Don't forget Mike, bro. I just realized.
yeah, no, I
Mike was
mentioned
bad, bro.
He's been
We did okay. Yeah, I mean, Division 1 winner, I think, at some point.
yeah. Well, I mean, to no one's surprise. We have 6C predicted first. And like, do we even need to say anything here? I feel like honestly we could just end the stream.
Oh,
here.
I mean, they beat out Rise actually in their prediction. Look at that. I didn't even notice that.
Did they? Okay, so maybe the
But
numbers.
JC's efforts were not enough.
Yeah, let's go check this really fast. So
It was 1.06 for Rise.
yeah, 20. There were 21 predictions, and 20 predicted 6 Sense to be first, and then JC put us first for some reason.
Thank you,
We're
JC.
not getting
I
first.
appreciate your enthusiasm. Maybe maybe rethink it a little bit though.
Okay, so main lineup for these guys, it's gonna be Kara, Ty, yeah, Gamma Bag, Stubbs, and like Melon.
Melon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Dude, it's the same team every single season. I guess the only like pickup they had was Kit, but I'm not even sure if Kit's playing. I've heard mixed things about whether he's playing or not, and I'm interested to see how his chem will sort of go with the team. Because like whether Artie was dropping like 50 or 60 a war, or same with Frozen or whatever, right? Like, they both have very significant experience playing with Zilla and Brody, and were able to like fill in gaps quite well. And I don't know if Kit really has that. We'll see if that even matters. I don't know if it really will, to be honest, but that's like the only sort of like chink in the armor I can see right now for these guys. So I don't know. It's same 60 we see every season, and I don't really think they're gonna lose this time. That being said, they lost to Jay-Z somehow last season, so
I think if these guys bro, I mean, it got to the point. I think not to discredit Jay-Z, they did obviously really well in those matches. I think these guys, they got so used to winning that their mentality kind of dropped a bit. Not in terms of like tilting, but in terms of just taking it seriously, right?
yes.
And honestly, just watching the matches back, I feel like that kind of did have a little bit of an impact, and that kind of made them beatable almost, right? But if these guys actually go full out, I don't see, like, honestly, I don't see anyone beating these guys. Honestly, it's just they've got everything they need, and that's not to discredit them at all, right? It's a lot of these guys. If you think about Brody and Zilla, right? They moved from all the way down to not bottom div, but mid lower div all the way up to the top, right? Pretty quickly, and they've kind of sustained themselves there. So yeah, obviously.